If you've ever tried to become an AI expert in a day, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Folks, welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, where we break down all of the happenings prior to the market open, and we're going to trade with you through that market open. So obviously, DeepSeek, still on everyone's mind. Nvidia's huge decline yesterday. It's a T3 Tuesday. We got Red Dog coming back on today. We got some news to break down. We've got stuff to trade. We've got the FOMC tomorrow. We got a full slate. Let's roll. Good morning and welcome back and happy Tuesday. It's great to see the early birds here today. Ivan, good morning. DeepSeek, good overview and implications. Seems to be some opinions on both sides of this whole thing. We're going to talk about that here today. Paul, good morning. Welcome back. Steve, it's great to see you again. Welcome back. Peter, good as always. Can't wait till we meet here today. Peter, sun-kissed yogi. Welcome back. Good morning. Hugh, good morning. Hugh brought the coffee, and it looks like Hugh brought the coffee for everybody here today. That's exactly what I wanted to see. Jonathan, good morning. Welcome back. Hugh saying consumer staples or tech today. What are you trading? So I actually am swinging. This is a good question. Yesterday, I actually added some EA. I'm swinging that into today. I'm also swinging Nike into today. But otherwise, I'm going to look for some more quick trades here today, and I wouldn't be surprised if we find them in the tech sector. But stay tuned, Hugh. We're going to break all of that down. We're going to look at where the movers are and where the pockets of strength are to trade. That's what we're going to focus on. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. Welcome back. Bernhard, welcome back. Producer in the house, getting it done on the ones and twos in the back. Welcome. Chris, let's get it, man. Let's get it. Great American. Today will be a great up day. We'll see. Futures pointing here in the up direction. We'll see if we can continue that here today. SR, good morning. Mike, good morning. Sideshow, good morning. Drew, welcome back, boss. Tom, good morning. The bounce back is real. Tom, let's see if this materializes. We got some levels here today. We got a gap on the SPY. We're going to ask Red Dog about that gap. We've got a lot of stuff to go over. McClangan, welcome back. Happy Chinese New Year. Is that today? Is the Lunar New Year today? If it is, happy Chinese New Year to everybody out there. Awesome. Ed, welcome back. Stacy, good morning. It's great to see you. Jane, welcome back as always. Izzy, in the house, locked in, ready to go. Queuing up his Amazon and Uber orders, no doubt. Diamond Hotline, good morning. Matthew, good morning. Don, good morning. Fairchild, it is great to see you. Okay, folks. We're off. Let's talk about the SPY. Let's break down what we're seeing here today. Let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. Good morning, James. Great to see you again as well. So here is the SPY. So remember, yesterday we sold off, and I want to just take 1 sec here to congratulate everyone in the chat. I didn't see a lot of panic yesterday from anywhere, from anybody. On new trades, on old trades going into it. Y'all seemed ready yesterday, and sans a couple of clown trolls that we swatted away like Mutombo, there was really no panic or no negativity, and that is exactly what we want to see. So good job for everyone around the board yesterday. We put the lows in the pre-market, and we actually had a pretty nice V bounce from those lows, and this actually continued through the rest of the day. So most of the movement here in the pre-market, we actually drifted up a little bit in the after hours yesterday, and we drifted up a little bit more in the pre-market here today. Now, so again, we had some big news. Some of the big stocks, the darlings of the market like Nvidia, were really getting pounded yesterday, and on good reason. And as a result, we stayed here. We kept it calm, and we were able to make some trades. And we're looking to do that exact same thing here again. Now, with this week here, a couple of things to keep in mind. Obviously, we've got a lot of earnings. They start tonight with Starbucks. Don't forget, tomorrow we've got Tesla, Meta, Microsoft, and then we have Apple on Thursday. So there's going to be some big earnings prints. They're going to change things in the after hours. It's likely going to have an effect on the market. And then also we have the FOMC tomorrow. So lots of stuff. We got a durable goods here today, but I think that's going to be a pretty much a nothing burger. So we do have some stuff that's going to move the market around, and we should be prepared and have those levels. as we're looking at the SPY here, as mentioned, on that sell-off yesterday, we actually came down. We tested the trend line. Technically, because we were above, we actually tested the 50, the 20, and the trend line. We broke through all of them, but we were able to bounce and recapture in the same day. And this, at least in the near term, is definitely a bullish signal that we have here. So you'll see where the candle is. Looks like we bounced clean off the 20-day and recaptured the 50-day. Today, we are in the gap, right? So this gap fills up here at the body about 607, and the actual low of that candle there, 606.80. So we're in this gap. Really, the question is going to be, do we fill it? I also see another little bit of resistance at about 602. Really, right? 602, maybe 602 and some change. We'll see if we can end up getting above that. That was one of the lows that we put in when we started this sell-off. So if we can take that out, perhaps we can make some more moves higher here. But this is what we're looking at in the SPY. I don't think we're in any realm to challenge new all-time highs here today. I certainly don't think we're going to get that before the Fed or before some of the big earnings prints. So we look to have a pretty solid range here today. Really, the question is going to be, do we fill any more of this gap or do we fall out of this gap? That's what I'm going to be looking for here today is on that trade. Okay, quick look around the market here. S&P futures up just about 0.2, up 0.17% here this morning. Dow futures actually down. Dow futures were higher earlier, but have since turned negative, down 0.04%. They're basically flat, but they do have red arrows here after being positive. NASDAQ up 0.18, so just about 0.2 here in the morning. Obviously, NASDAQ saw the biggest declines yesterday. Big one there is going to be Nvidia, right? This was the huge one. And the good thing about this is that, so first of all, we've been talking a lot about the market really kind of being overvalued and really kind of needing a correction. And we've been talking about this, at least on this show and as well as in Happy Hour. We've been talking about this at this point for just about a year. I almost want to say 9 months or so. And we really haven't got it, or at least we really haven't got that big capitulation sell-off correction that causes people to get worried and all of that. So still kind of waiting that out. One of the things that we were asking is this the start of that? Is this whole DeepSeek thing and everything with Nvidia and all of these tech names getting hit, is this the start of that? And I'll be honest, the price action yesterday doesn't really confirm that, at least not yet. Now, things can change. And as traders, we're going to be nimble and we're going to stay on top of that. But so far, given the action yesterday, no, I am not confident saying that this is the start of the big correction. If it is, that's fine, and we'll look to capture that. But not confident saying that just yet, especially based on yesterday's action. We'll see how today and tomorrow unfold. As far as Nvidia goes here, take a look at this. Right here at the 200-day. So we just talked about the SPY, where we sit on the SPY charts and what we're looking for here today. Nvidia, yesterday, we broke through the 200-day. We did not hold it. The next question for me is, can we recapture this 200-day in short order? Our first attempt at that is going to be today. If we do not recapture it today, but we don't break down, then we kick that can till tomorrow, and we see if we can recapture this. Nvidia has been the darling of the market, and if Nvidia can recapture the 200-day and get 1, 2, or 3 closes back above that 200-day moving average, giddy up. I think that this could be a potential swing, maybe even to test all-time highs. We'll see, at least back to the trend line and perhaps back to the 50-day moving average. So the Nvidia being right here at the 200-day, this is an important level. We want to see how this shakes out. Honorable mention, also going to go to Oracle here. We traded down. We did not quite test that 200-day. We got awful close and we bounced. To be honest with you, for this one, I'd actually wait for this to test that 200-day. I ended up not taking any type of play here for today for a potential bounce back. Oracle up about 1% here in the pre-market on some light volume. So we'll see if we get a bounce there, but mind that 200-day, you might get another opportunity if these stocks don't completely fall apart. Okay, real quickly here, producer, I don't know if you gave the article here. We're going to talk about this one. This is basically just a market overview. I really want to just kind of summarize a couple of things and give you a quote from this. This is basically summarizing what had happened yesterday, some of the big moves down here. But there are some quotes here that I wanted to cover with you. The first one here is Jeremy Siegel talking about DeepSeek's impact on markets. Jeremy Siegel, senior economist at Wisdom Tree and former professor at the University of Pennsylvania, said that such events could derail the Magnificent Seven and the tech narrative. Quote, this could finally signal the shift from growth to value stocks, end quote. Now, this quote here, this is definitely something that I'm going to pay attention to because, again, when we were talking about waiting off the sell-off, it's not because we think the stuff is garbage. It's not because we think these companies are going out of business or that there's something hugely negative that's about to happen. It's about, man, the valuations are awfully stretched, and they have been stretched for a while. We've talked about that. I mean, you take a look at Nvidia right now. Let's go back here and let's take a look together. Just on like a forward PE basis here, let me share the chart here. Let's take a look at Nvidia going into today. Nvidia forward PE here of 27.7. Okay, right in here. Thank you, Benzinga Pro. This was 33.3 yesterday. Traditionally, semiconductor multiples are anywhere between like 7 and 10, maybe 7 and 12. And here we are, even after a 17% sell-off yesterday, we still have a forward PE of near 30. So as far as traditional valuations for semiconductor stocks, it's completely reasonable to assume that we can actually come back in a little bit more if things hold together now, or if things continue to break down. Now, if things hold together, I think that we could kind of just be risk on here, especially in a couple of names like Meta, for example, which the DeepSeek model was basically built off of. It was basically copied off of Llama. So some interesting stuff here. We're going to have to figure it out. I'm not ready. I don't think we have any indicator yet that tells us, okay, this is for sure what we're going to do here. I'm going to play it by ear, and I'm going to be nimble. The fact that I'm active and the fact that I'm in front of my terminal every day, I believe, gives me an advantage in this period. I look to exploit that edge. Okay, next story here that we want to talk about is going to be about DeepSeek. Stop me if you've heard this before. We're probably going to have a lot of stuff here on DeepSeek. Nvidia says DeepSeek is an illustration of how new AI models can be created while being export control compliant amid the $600 billion market valuation, market value plunge. So again, here, this is basically saying that, hey, there's going to be some new stuff coming in the AI race. This isn't going to be the last time. We're expecting this, and this is actually a good thing long term. And I think anytime that you have a bleeding edge technology, anytime somebody comes out with something new, there's always lessons to be learned from that, both positive and negative. And I think writing stuff off is not the way to go. Right? Being able to learn from every interaction and every new product and every release, just like this, is going to make everything better. We'll talk about that here in a little bit as well. So I did want DeepSeek work illustrates how new models can be created using test time scaling, leveraging widely available models and compute that is fully export control compliant, says NVIDIA spokesperson. Again, they seem that they're not necessarily negative on this. They see a long-term positive. And actually, Trump was talking yesterday, said the same thing. Said, hey, if we can do AI cheaper, that's great. We can do this. It can benefit people. We can use less power and spend less money on it. Those aren't bad things. We're just still kind of in the infancy of all of this. Okay, and there are a couple of more things in here. NVIDIA sinks beneath the 200-day moving average. We just took a look at that here together. That is the first time in 2 years, by the way. I forgot to mention that. So again, I want to see if we can recapture that. If we can in short order, I certainly view that as a bullish trigger for a potential long side trade. So we'll see if we end up getting that rolling here. DeepSeek sparks historical technical reset. Again, that could be good at the end of the day here. And FundStrat's Tom Lee sees NVIDIA's 17% plunge as, quote, an opportunity, end quote, calls NVIDIA's over 600-point plunge drop a market overreaction. We heard some of that yesterday. We covered some of the varying opinions on this. Tom Lee is certainly not alone in that. Couple of quotes from some of these articles here. Wedbush analyst Dan Ives calls the sell-off, quote, a golden buying opportunity, end quote, arguing that, quote, no U.S. Global 2000 is going to use a Chinese startup DeepSeek to launch their AI infrastructure. end quote. So again, this is definitely, we kind of knew this yesterday. I wanted to call this a good thing, but I really just don't think that this is the tipping point that sends everything over. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe we will see some continued weakness here. But given what we've seen so far, I don't really know. We actually had several people yesterday testing the model in real time. I know that there were a couple of people that were able to get accounts before they blocked registration to only mainland China users. We've had people testing that. We had people reporting back in here that the experience was it wasn't anything crazy or anything like that. Ed Yardini, who actually I see on CNBC right now, I can't hear him because I'm with you fine, folks, but I see him on CNBC. He had said, quote, "The key question is whether Nvidia will disappoint as its capital spending on AI is soaring faster than its revenues, which could squeeze profit margins," end quote. So again, what he's saying there is Nvidia spending too much money? Is that really a problem? Or is the massive spend actually backed by results at the end of the day? We'll have to see how that equation shakes out. Place your bets, folks. I don't think this is over, and I don't think this is going anywhere. Okay. On security concerns, regarding DeepSeek, which is a very real thing. And in fact, we're starting to see more and more people come out with security concerns. On the security concerns, quote, "China has some of the world's most stringent regulations on data access and state surveillance. If DeepSeek gains international traction, users must understand what data they are sharing and where it's being stored." We got more reports yesterday, even from the privacy policy that you agree to if you launch the app, that there is some, let's just call it, concerning things on that data storage and the data practices. You've had several people flat out say, "I would never use this. I do not recommend using this." I too, just like I did with TikTok, I'm okay not seeing any of those funny TikTok cat videos. I've never installed that backdoor on my phone, and I wouldn't do the exact same thing with DeepSeek. I'm just not going to do it. The other thing is that, frankly, I know we're talking about, well, which one of these models is better, and this one is cheaper, and this one is faster, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The reality is that I can't find anything. I haven't really used it, so I haven't really put it through its paces. So I guess that's kind of a caveat there. But and I would turn this to the group. I'm not aware of anything that you can do with DeepSeek that you can't do with any of the other models, whether it's ChatGPT, Anthropic, or otherwise. So I'd be curious to know, you folks that play around with AI quite a bit, I'd love to know what you think about that. I'd definitely love to know about that. A1 here in the chat. Good morning. DeepSeek was a deep fake out of a bear market. The bear is still hibernating. It's just a stretch and yawn. Okay, so you think that there's more downside to go. Honestly, I wouldn't even be shocked if that's the case. Zebev saying, "Let's be real. Trump did not say the same thing." I can't speak like Trump, and I can't say the exact same words he did, but I guarantee you he did say it was a good thing. There was a video of him saying that at a podium yesterday. Even had one of his hands up gesture. So he did say something similar to that. Producers got a poll running. It's about DeepSeek. Vote in our YouTube poll. Do you trust DeepSeek with your data and their privacy policy? I will read the results shortly after the open there. Okay, let's see. Catching up here. Ryan saying, "I did try DeepSeek yesterday, and it's really not as good as ChatGPT." The more people that kind of dig into that, the more and more I'm hearing that. Now, I don't have any way to quantify that, so this is just anecdotal, but that experience seems to be the same. Rocket from Guardian saying, "DeepSeek is a wake-up call. Wake up call, yes call. A wake-up call, yes call." Not really sure what you mean there. It does seem like a wake-up call. And actually, the next story that we're going to talk about is on that. So let's just go ahead and move. That was a really good transition right there. AI, let's see if I can find it here. I think it's this one. Yep, here we go. AI's DeepSeek R1. It's impressive, but OpenAI CEO Sam Altman says he will deliver much better models. Quote, "Looking forward to bringing you all AGI and beyond," end quote. Okay. So Sam Altman is basically saying, hey, this is good. And I'm not surprised to hear that because, again, anyone that's involved in this AI, when you see a new iteration where things are either done faster or cheaper or a combination of the two, this represents advancement in that field. So I'm entirely unsurprised by his attitude towards this. But basically, what he's also saying here is that there's going to be more competition coming. In a post on X, Altman expressed enthusiasm about the competition and spoke about OpenAI's plans to introduce even more advanced models in the future. The China-based AI model has outpaced OpenAI, achieving remarkable results with 97% less computing power and costs 50 times lower. Now, that computing power thing basically ignores all of the training going up to it. So I know that calculus is a little skewed there from person to person. Altman highlighted the importance of continuing their research roadmap and necessity of increased computational power to achieve their mission. Here's the tweet itself. DeepSeek's R1 is an impressive model, particularly around what they're able to deliver for the price. We will obviously deliver much better models, and it's also legit invigorating to have a new competitor. We will pull up some releases. So it sounds to me, and we'll see how this shakes out. I mean, it's yet to be seen, but it sounds to me like Sam says, a new competitor. And you know what? The new competitor didn't mail it in. It's not a piece of junk. It's actually pretty good. Now it's time to raise our game. And I'll say from my own personal experience, I'm not one of these tech bros, these tech nerd billionaire people that are geniuses and can come up with all that stuff. So just coming up with my opinion from the seat that I have here. These people don't necessarily like to be outdone. When they put their hard work into this, they're always thinking several steps ahead. Once again, I'm entirely unsurprised to hear that we're going to have something new coming that might overlap the current iteration. And it's also worth noting that you might see more and more and more of this leapfrogging action going on here. Okay, real quickly here. Thank you, producer, highlighting some really good stuff from the chat. This is exactly why I think that our community coming together to discuss these things can be very, very helpful. First of all, A1 is saying we're still in the bull market. So the sell-off that we're talking about here, A1 doesn't think that's materializing. Day trader here, I'm waiting on the announcement from my employer that we explicitly can't use DeepSeek. Day trader, you probably won't be waiting very long. I believe there was at least one or two gentlemen in the show yesterday that said that they couldn't use it in their professional environment. I'm not, just full disclosure, I'm not aware of any Benzinga policy. I was actually on Sunday and then yesterday morning before our show started here and before the sun came up, I was actually going through some of the other testing that people have done as I was familiarizing myself with this. Again, I was way too busy watching playoff football to be playing around with the new Chinese AI model on Sunday, that's for sure. And then we got news that they were blocking registrations for anything outside of the mainland China. So I would never install the app on my phone, just full stop, would never do it. And then as far as using it on my computer, I would take extra precautions. But now with the registration being blocked, that is a non-issue. I don't even have to worry about that. So we'll see where this all goes. We're still in the infancy here. I'm excited, frankly. I'm excited. Real quickly, Ryan Milligan said, its answers to questions are very general. They fire loads of information at you that isn't specific to your answer. Compared to same questions with ChatGPT, it tries to understand the questions more. Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, but that actually might be something that the model could tune and get better at over time, no? Again, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. I appreciate you actually doing the testing and then delivering your results to the group here. You don't have to do that. The fact that you're willing to share that, I appreciate that. Day Trader goes on to say, I don't trust it, won't use it. Dal1 saying data grab and security breach. So this is one of the things that we were hearing yesterday. There were a number of people tweeting about this. They were also saying that the timing was kind of suspect here, right? There's this battle with TikTok. They got the new Lunar New Year coming up. Chinese government likes to prop things up going into the holiday. A lot of timing stuff here that caused people to raise an eyebrow. So you're not alone in that. We've heard about that. I suspect we're going to continue to hear more about that, to be quite honest with you. China will always make these things cheaper than everyone else. Indeed. And really, this also comes down to you get what you pay for, right? Like how many times on Amazon do you see something that's fairly inexpensive, whatever it is, whether it be a pot or a bookshelf? I mean, you pick the item. You see one on Amazon, it's cheap. You see one at Williams Sonoma, or maybe just on Amazon, just a different brand. It's much more expensive and it's the same item. At the end of the day, I think that you get what you pay for, and none of that will surprise me. 3D, good morning. Welcome back. Security concerns will increase with the AI paradigm. I think that is 100% true. I think we're, again, speaking about the infancy, being kind of in the early innings of this, I suspect we're going to see more and more of this type of stuff going forward. Big B's, really appreciate your insight on this stuff. The organization that I worked for had a policy that covered all AI to include add-ins for applications to perform additional functions that were not approved by IT. Okay. Good stuff there. And then here, AFIF saying, guys, it's open source. The whole code is out there. There isn't something hidden. This is a misnomer. I saw this floating around yesterday too. I understand what open source means. The big concern, what's going on right here, is the storage of the data. And they even say it in their privacy policy. The data is stored on servers in mainland China. There's access issues to that. It's not necessarily about the code of the AI itself, but the data storage on there. So keep that in mind as well. Okay. Awesome. Good stuff there. All right. Also, I saw a producer here bringing out the Ross Gerber story there. That outlined some of those concerns there for security. That's good stuff here too. One more story to take care of here. I know we're going to shift gears a little bit here, but let's do that. And we're going to go from one Chinese application to another. We're going to go to TikTok here. Real quickly, Microsoft eyes a TikTok deal. Trump says acquisition talks are underway. Reuters cites Trump as saying the U.S. wants to have a 50% ownership position in a joint venture in TikTok with zero involvement from China. The president was speaking to Republican lawmakers at his Doral Golf Club in Miami. I've heard Doral's awesome. I've never played there. Hopefully, I'm able to do that at some point. TikTok boasts 170 million U.S. users, accounting for about 4% of the U.S. digital ad market. Around 63% of teens aged 13 to 17 use TikTok versus Meta. This is one of the reasons that we've highlighted Meta as being a potential play here, depending on what we hear from TikTok. What happens with a potential ban or a potential buyout. One of the stocks that you should absolutely look at along with those news releases is going to be Meta. That's nothing new here. This was important, I thought. TikTok's other bidders include AI startup Perplexity and Frank McCourt of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Los Angeles Dodgers, man, they have no trouble buying up everything. But between Shohei Ohtani and now Roki Sasaki, their baseball team is buying up everything that they can out there. I'm unsurprised that they're adding TikTok to that list here. So, okay. There was something else in this, I think, that I wanted to go. One of the quotes here, when asked by reporters whether the U.S. tech giant was preparing a bid, this is in reference to Microsoft, I believe was the U.S. tech giant being referenced here. When asked by reporters whether a U.S. tech giant was preparing a bid, Trump replied, I would say yes. So pulling his typical Trump there, it definitely looks like that is happening here. So, okay, real good stuff with the news here. Again, a lot of this is going to be AI related. Quick look here at the futures, since we have been taking a look at that a couple of times here today. Let's get back to the Nvidia chart here real quick. Nvidia right around that 200. Today is going to be fun, folks. Quick look here at the futures. S&P futures now up 0.3, so bouncing a little bit, coming up off those recent area that we just discussed. The Dow here still down, but just about flat, down 0.03%. So pretty negligible there. Dow was one of the outperformers yesterday. Today, NASDAQ here up 0.45%. So up just about 0.5% here ahead of the open. So, okay, pretty good stuff here. We got Red Dog pretty soon. We also had some earnings here today. So I guess we can cover those at least in the meantime. Why don't we start with Boeing, everyone's favorite, right? Wink, wink. Anyway, Boeing reporting earnings here today. Boeing Q4 2024 adjusted EPS was a $5.90 loss. Remember, they pre-announced, so this shouldn't be much of a surprise. That missed the $2.44 estimate. Sales of $14.24 billion missed the $16.14 billion estimate on Boeing here. You take a quick look at the chart. Boeing's down here just about 0.25% again. There was a pre-announcement that really kind of moved the stock. Here we are, though. We're sitting above the 20-day moving average. You can see that this recent recapture of the 200-day was pretty good. We're slowing down here now. For me, the next thing that I want to observe, can we actually hold this 20-day moving average? If we can hold this 20-day moving average, can we then launch off of that and make a run towards the 500? Currently have that value here at 193.5, 193.52 on that. So, we'll see if Boeing can end up getting a trade here. Let's see if there was any other news that we had coming out of this. I don't think so. Again, here we go. Boeing delivered 348 commercial planes and recorded 279 net orders in fiscal year 2024. Commercial airline deliveries and revenues hit the hardest with sharp year-over-year drops in Q4. And the Boeing says the 787 program exited the year at 5 per month. So these are going to be some of the big metrics that end up moving Boeing around. Again, Boeing down here just over 0.25% at 0.36%. Okay, some more earnings here. I guess let's cover Nucor. That's going to be ticker NUE. Let's go ahead and bring that up here. Here's your chart. Here's your daily chart for Nucor. These earnings came yesterday in the after hours. Yep, these were yesterday in the after hours. Nucor Q4 2024 GAAP EPS of 122 beats the 65-cent estimate. Big beat there. Sales $7.076 billion beat the $6.763 billion estimate. So Nucor here beat on the top and the bottom line. Stock is actually only up 0.3%. It's basically flat here. It was higher earlier. So yesterday when the print first came out, this really did spike. It's come all the way back in. So we'll see where this goes next. Let's see if we had anything else new today. Don't see any re-ratings, at least not yet. Topps Q4 consensus expects lower Q1 net earnings on higher tax impact. So that might be one of the reasons why this thing really can't get rolling. We'll see if Nucor can find any footing on here today. Okay, one sec here real quick. All right. Next, we can cover GM. Ticker GM, that's going to be General Motors. General Motors, they reported this morning in the pre-market, easy for me to say. General Motors here, Q4 2024 adjusted EPS 192. This beat the 186 estimate. Sales of 47.7 billion beat the 43.6 billion estimate. So looks like a nice beat there. They did have Mary Barra on CNBC earlier. I didn't catch the interview as I was preparing here for today, but I didn't see any big news kind of coming out of that. GM here is losing the little bit of the pop that we had. We're actually negative on the day by just about 2%. The conference call is in progress, so we might expect some more news coming out of that conference call here today. Izzy mentioned that yields are up. There you go. Appreciate you, Izzy. Let's see. Adjusted EBITDA. I don't think there was anything else in here. GM's Q4 profitability dented by a hit from Cruise China restructuring. Okay, so we'll see. Big B's starting with the "It's a trap." It's a trap. That will always get the Admiral Akbar sound drop. Big B's always. It will always do that. So GM here, let's take a look at the daily chart, see what we can figure out here in terms of a spot. This has actually had a pretty good move. While we did not actually test the 200-day, we did bounce from that area. We recaptured several of these moving averages, and we did tease a breakout here at about 55. We'll see if we're able to do that. and move higher here. Thank you, producer. U.S. durable good orders month over month for December, minus 2.2% versus the 0.3% estimate. The prior read was minus 2%. Core durable goods month over month for December, 0.3 versus the 4/10 estimate. So there you go. We talked about being probably a nothing burger. Looks like that is the case. But folks, it is that time. It is 8:35, and I know you're excited. It is time to go to our special guest, Red Dog from T3. Let's go ahead and bring him on. All right, Red Dog, welcome back. Happy Tuesday. It is time to rise and grind. And as promised from the last time that you joined us, my push-ups are already booked, and this marks 7 days in a row for me since I started last Tuesday. Good morning, boss. How you doing?
You know what they call 7 days, Ryan?
A week.
A streak. There you go. I
I
love it. I love it. You know what?
You
A lot
know
of
what
people
I
are doing
love?
it.
I love that you said this is not a spectator sport, and you're absolutely right about that. I'll say this. I kind of started mixing in some physical activity into my workday starting last year. I've now added these push-ups on top of it, and it changes the entire day. So kudos to you for getting people to get involved with physical fitness. I think this is absolutely awesome. I think this makes our days better as traders.
You know, we can control that. Sometimes you can't control the action. Sometimes a bad day happens. And how do you blow off a bad day? You do something that's in your control, a little fitness, a little sweat, make yourself feel good. You know, they say the best promises you keep are the ones to yourself, right? If you say you're going to eat better and you're going to do your push-ups every day, and for some reason you don't, that weighs on your head. So when you do it and you control what you can control, at least you know something's going right. Same way, remember that the Marine with his famous speech, like first thing you want to do in the morning is just make your bed. He's like, it's a small thing. You get it done. And if you have a horrible day, at least you come home to a made bed. So if you didn't make money in the market, at least you did your push-ups, at least you ate healthy, and you know, you're trying to do something constructive. And hopefully, you know, as long as you followed your plan and you had a bad day, that happens too. You know, yesterday was a huge down day. You know, there were definitely some things to see on Friday that could have given you some clues that you should have some risk down, but it was hard to see that we were going to be down 130, 140 handles in the S&P.
Yep.
But you know, you didn't really have to know. All you had to do is read some of the tea leaves from Friday.
Absolutely. Real quick here, you had said, I believe that you say here, change your habits and your habits will change you.
Yeah, or you know, first you make your habits, then your habits make you. Or if you
There it
want to
is.
make changes, then you have to make changes. If you want to change your life, how do you not? You know, you can't change it without making changes. And here is a chart of the spies. So you know, a lot of guys are like, hey, Red Dog, what's your thoughts today? I'm like, well, you know, spies are up a little bit. A lot of people are having kind of their opinions. You're seeing all the analysts come out, Ryan, about whether they're defending Nvidia, they're defending AI, they're this or that. Bottom line is you have a huge hole in the chart here. You had a small red dog reversal on Friday to give you some clues into an all-time high to at least take some risk down ahead of the Fed. Like we have the Fed tomorrow. So as a trader, you try and have a little bit of risk down, you know, so with a red dog reversal sell and a lower high in the Qs and Nvidia giving you a bearish engulfing day to the downside on Friday, why would any traders be cajonis to the wall coming in on yesterday? Some guys that had their best days because there were actually some sell and some short signals. Not me. At least what I did is I had a hedge. I had some SPY short on, so that helped me with my leftover positions. But for now, the question is, I think like every day there's like a new narrative. Question is like, you know, will Nvidia even get into the gap? Right now, I'm along a little Nvidia for a bounce. I'm going to be very careful, and maybe it tries to get in the bounce. But if Nvidia can't even get in the bounce and it opens up 3 and goes red, you know, chances are, you know, you're not going to need to be in a rush here to be, you know, so exposed to Nvidia or any semis.
Absolutely. Real quick here. This is Scott Redler. Trade along or trade the lead up to and the aftermath of the Fed meeting with Scott, totally free. That's going on right now. Be sure to scan that QR code. Link is in the chat. Red Dog, you were starting off there by talking about the SPY. I had mentioned earlier, we're in a gap here. Let me just ask you straight up. Do we fill that gap here today?
That's a full-fledged guess, my friend. At this point, what I'll say is in order to fill this gap, you got to hold 599.69. And if you look right here, the SPYs are up only $1.12. It's not like it's having some gangbuster rally back, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So the SPYs right now are at 646. So if you could see here, do you see the level 2 above it? No, it doesn't actually show it. So anyway, first step is first step, right? We go one step at a time, Ryan. First step is we're above yesterday's high of 599.69. In order to fill, the gap, you have to hold that. So we'll see if we hold that or not. If we hold that for a little bit, some shorts probably get squeezed, maybe some bottom feeders come in, and then we see how much of this gap gets filled. And then if it doesn't do it tomorrow, there'll probably be another attempt, on Fed Day, because on Fed Day, they always like to, press both sides of the envelope, squeeze some shorts to the upside, and then stop some people out to the long side. And then you usually get the real trend on Thursday even, and that'll be after a few earnings. But 599.69 is the key to today. Do we hold above it to fill the gap, or do we fail and go red? We'll see, and the market action will tell us.
Yeah, and you had just mentioned it right there. You had talked about some of the earnings that are coming up. That's my next question here. Big earnings this week with Meta, Microsoft, and Apple, but of course we got Tesla. I know that's your baby. So what are the charts saying here? How are you playing it for these earnings, if you are playing it at all?
I started actually buying Meta last week for earnings, and I did that pretty well, to be honest. I started buying it when it was tight. Sometimes I like to buy options for earnings before a move, just in case it gives you a pre-earnings move. And I started buying the 645s in here, which was a great entry right around January 22nd, around 625. And it wound up, I wound up going through the highs on Friday. I created a call spread to help finance it. And then yesterday, you were able to manage it, actually. The Meta was down 20 yesterday, so I was able to buy the short side back and then sit. And then it went green, and I put the short side back on. So I'm sitting in a call spread for Meta earnings. Right now, we're at highs. If we continue higher into tomorrow pre-earnings, I might take it off because I have what do I have on a 645 by 680? So I might turn it into a lotto spread and risk less. But at this point, I don't have Tesla on. I do not have Tesla on for earnings. To me, Tesla was awesome. It was my biggest pre-election trade and post-election trade. But ever since this small red dog reversal top at 488, or this lower high at 465, or even here it started getting choppier, to me, I think, using common sense, I just don't think it's going to be a great quarter. Obviously, everyone's looking ahead to AI, robotics, robo-taxis. So I do think that I don't need to have options on because the premiums are so high. I think I could trade it after the report. Maybe it goes lower with the report, and then on the conference call, they start talking about all the future and make false promises like they usually do. No, I'm kidding. They don't do that. Did I say that?
We'll hold it against you.
And then maybe I'll rebuy it back, or I'll rebuy it the day after. But for right now, Tesla, even yesterday, Tesla tried to go green and it was down 13, whereas Meta acted better, Amazon acted better, even Netflix acted better. So for right now, not saying on Inauguration Day since then, I think there's been a lot of banter around Elon. That was a pretty stupid thing that he did. I'm not going to say what it means, but he had clear sailing, and now there's a lot of debate around his antics, and at this point, I feel like Tesla right now has a little bit to prove through this earnings report. So I'm not going to take a call spread on Tesla.
Okay, real good. Actually, by the way, we recently polled our group here in the morning, are Elon's actions helping or hurting Tesla? And I can't recall the exact percentages, but I believe a majority of the group said, yes, indeed, they are hurting. So it'll be interesting to see if that plays out here in some of the charts.
They were really helping up until Inauguration Day. And then when he friggin' got all excited like that, and even I was watching, I'm like, what did he just do?
Yeah.
And granted, it was exciting. He's not going out and killing 6-8 million Jews like friggin' Hitler did, or the Nazis did. And, I'm Jewish. So it's like, I'm giving him a little pass, but it was just dumb because he just opened himself up for all this debate and all this criticism. And then he also went against Stargate. So the honeymoon period between Elon and Trump feel a little bit like, on edge. So I feel like that's why the chart's a little on edge, right? Here,
I think that's spot on.
I'm elected. He red dog reversal sell. Now it's like, plus the whole EV market's just not great right now. So if they're going to, in earnings, you talk about credits, you talk about, what just happened. And I think the initial is not going to look fantastic, but then looking ahead, you could always paint the rosy picture and then put it off when it's not there yet. So then I'll judge the action a little bit more.
Okay, last question here. We'll get you out of here on this. And if you want to punt it, I totally get it, but it's the topic du jour right now. What do you think of DeepSeek? And maybe you don't have experience with the actual model, but what do you think it's going to mean for stocks like Nvidia or the entire kind of AI theme that we have rolling on right now?
Well, first of all, I'm really not smart enough to know. I'm not going to act like I'm a deep seek expert like everyone else out there on Twitter. All I'm going to say again is Nvidia's got a big ASS hole in the chart. So this is going to tell me on whether what the market thinks of it. If Nvidia can't fill a big portion of this gap because it's on sale, that just shows me there's a lot of sellers out there and people are more concerned, and I'm going to stay out of the way. And if it gets below 116.70 and loses a 200-day, there's a term out there that say nothing happens good below the 200-day. So I'm sure if Nvidia can't find the friend, above the 200-day and goes below, all the semis are going to be in the penalty box. And then I just want to see how it affects tech. So yesterday, one of my thoughts was, hey, will this be a whole revaluation of tech? So that's why if you go to like Netflix, I was like, hey, Netflix already reported earnings. Let's see how that reacts. It doesn't have AI. It doesn't have semis. And, so far it's still holding 950. So it's showing that, hey, on an individual stock basis, Netflix is still just fine as long as it holds 950. Meta made a new all-time high yesterday. Amazon came roaring back. So to me, it's saying, hey, it's specific and there are different ramifications. Some people are like, hey, Red Dog, if the AI spend is less and everything's cheaper, that's deflationary. That's good for the Fed. That's good for the equal 8 S&P. That's good for Amazon. Amazon's margins are always not so great, so maybe their margins will be better. I was like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. So I started buying Amazon in the hole yesterday. And now let's see, can it get above 236.40? If it does, maybe it follows Meta's footprint. So for me, I'm going step by step. I try not to have too big of opinions. I have multiple thoughts, and I let the market confirm which way the narrative goes.
That's awesome. And that is the sign of an experienced trader right there. Red Dog, really appreciate it. Again, folks, take or trade the lead up to and the aftermath of the Fed meeting with Scott Redler. It's going on right now. QR code at the bottom of the screen, link in the chat. Red Dog, we appreciate it. Keep up the rise and grind. I'll be there with you. We'll see you next time. All right, boss?
Love it. Thanks for joining. And I appreciate the positive vibes. You always do a great job, Ryan.
I appreciate that, Red Dog. Take care of yourself.
You too.
All right, folks, that is it. A ton of real good stuff there from our guy, Scott Redler. Be sure to check him out at minimum. Go follow him on Twitter. Really good stuff. That's how I start my day every day. All right. Scott's departure leaves room for 13. Guess what? We're going to go ahead and bring him on. 13, how are you doing here this morning, my man?
I'm doing just fine. How are you? How is everybody in the chat?
I'm doing good. Like I was just saying here, woke up, started my day with a cup of coffee, rolled that into some push-ups, and I am ready to go here today. Excited to see the futures up slightly here in the pre-market. I want to see what kind of day we have here, but I'm ready to attack this. I know we got a whole bunch of movers and a whole bunch of stuff. Where do you want to start here today?
Let's blow through these movers.
All right, let's do it. I'm going to go ahead and flip back to the movers tool here, and we'll go ahead and take them from the top here. Real quickly, actually, let me get to this. Hadid, I was not trying to ignore you. Why shouldn't I trust DeepSeek with my data when OpenAI makes it clear that input data is used to train their models? What's the difference? I'll take a stab at this. The difference here is where that data is stored. As far as I'm aware, OpenAI is not storing that data in mainland China, and they don't have a history of poor privacy and data management. That would be my generic answer there at the top. Now, I did also see that you had mentioned here, I used DeepSeek this weekend and it blew my mind. So it looks like you're actually testing out these new models. I'd love to hear more of your feedback on these models and how they're different from some of the traditional ones. We've had a number of you folks actually trying some of these on a regular basis and then reporting back what you hear. I'm interested in that. Oh, okay. 13, let's go ahead and take, oops, sorry, producer. I know you're just trying to help and I'm screwing it up. First one that I have here on the list is going to be DXF, ticker DXF. This is Eason Technology. Let me see here if we had any news on this. No news. Stock is up 192%. Quick look around the horn here. Really nothing for the short interest. Float 23 million. Do you have anything on this? Did you cover this one here?
Yep, this one. So I covered a few, and seems like the international community is trying to get in on all the action here in this American market. This first one here, DXF, is a Chinese company. So I think this is just getting movement with the rest of the market that had moved yesterday on the DeepSeek news. So I think this is just a China pump. Okay. 23 million shares in the float. They did a reverse split back in 2023. They haven't done anything since then. Their financials, I didn't have a great read on. I don't know what kind of income they have, but it says, according to the last reported balance sheet that I have, which was from the end of 2023, that they have $2.3 million dollars in the bank. Now that may be RMB. I'm not sure, but this company only reports 2 times a year, so lack of data on what their financial position is. And I don't have any news on why this is even moving in the first place. But this is a financial technology company, I believe, and I don't have anything beyond that. So if there's some movement we can capture here, we're gonna try that. It's currently trading beneath its VWAP, but the MACD is starting to look like it may be recovering. So that'll be something to watch for as we head into the open. The price action has really slowed down since it got the volatility earlier this morning and closer to about an hour ago. So I don't think there's a whole lot until we get closer to the open. I'll be watching or to see if this can recapture VWAP into the open. That should give us a good lift out of the gate. But if it still continues to drift lower before we get into the open and it's still beneath VWAP, then we just want to wait and see where this settles before it starts to turn around.
Okay, I went ahead and while you were doing that, this trend line just really kind of popped off.
Oh, nice.
At me. So you were just talking about downside if we can't reclaim the VWAP. To me, it really sure seems like this trend line would be a good way to kind of measure that. If we break down beneath this trend line, maybe we should wait for that to firm up before we then try a potential short-term trade on it. So, okay, good stuff there. DXF on the list. Let's keep moving here. Next, I have SLXN, and we have a news catalyst here, Selexion Therapeutics. This one I feel like is one that we've traded here recently. I can't put my finger on it. Nonetheless, Selexion Therapeutics shares are trading higher after the company reported new preclinical data of SIL-204 showing significant tumor reduction in pancreatic cancer models. That is the thing right there. When you hear pancreatic cancer and significant tumor reduction or any type of positive data, that's generally going to send these stocks, even if it does it for the short term. That's what we're seeing here. Stock is up 98%. In the pre-market. 6.26% of its float shorted. And by the way, folks, I know we were talking about short interest recently. We got a new read as of yesterday, so all of our short interest here is updated and not stale. 6.26% of the float shorted, 1 day to cover. Not a whole lot of squeeze action potential in there. Float 3.55 million here. 13, what do you make of SLXN? This is a former penny stock, but today we're in dollar territory, and it looks like it's got some news catalysts and some mo.
Yeah, that's a pre-clinical result that they are reporting here. So they haven't even got into the clinical trials yet, of which there's typically 3 phases. So they're going to need a lot of cash going into that. So it's encouraging that they have this headline now, but they still have a lot of work to do in order to prove that this is something that can be sold and administered and all that good stuff. So 3.55 million shares in the float. I tried to look at their website, but I got a security notification about going on there. So I said, I better not. This is an Israeli company. So here we are with the more international companies. So we just had a Chinese one. This is an Israeli one. Company does need cash, as far as I can tell. So there's a real risk here that they may raise capital, probably as early as today. They did, like I said, they did do a 1-for-9 reverse split back on November 29th. So they got the right share structure now, and they just need to raise that money because they're going to need a lot of it going into these clinical trials. And like I said, I didn't really visit their website because of that security flag. So I don't know how far along with any other pipelines that they've got going on. So unfortunately, I can't give you any more information on that. But looking at the technicals here real quick, looks like we didn't have this news too far out ago. I mean, it was just recently we started getting this news about maybe half an hour ago. So we're still moving up, kind of cooling a bit, but we're coming off that peak of 124, coming down to test the VWAP. Now that's going to determine where this may go into the open. If we rebound off the VWAP now, we could rally into the open, in which case I'd be a little bit more cautious about trying to play it at the open. But if we lose VWAP and start trading lower, then there's a much better chance that we get more upside out of the open once we get some evidence of basing.
Okay, and we'll see here if it holds that 107 VWAP. Also worth mentioning, if it does break that, perhaps it finds some support here at $1. We'll see. SLXN, another one of your movers here today. Next one here is going to be a continuation from yesterday. This is Yibo. This is a big shout out to the entire chat here. You guys were on this. I think it was Jonathan yesterday. I can't remember if this was Jonathan, if this was Lion, if a combination of you folks. I think there were a couple of you trading Yibo yesterday, and this really wasn't on the radar. I didn't have this one broken down. I didn't trade this one yesterday, but kudos to our group who identified a huge pop here. Now, this thing did really round trip. This thing went from about $2 to 17 and then pretty much all the way back down. So don't forget about that. We are popping here a little bit in the pre-market. This is Planet Image is the name of the company here. I think you said yesterday, whenever you saw this, you thought Planet Labs, or you
yes,
something like that.
Because imaging, but this is actually not exactly an imaging company like Planet Labs is. This is a toner cartridge company, right? I believe.
Yeah. They make Chinese toner cartridges.
Okay.
I know, dude. I mean,
and the stock price just revolves up and down like a planet. Whatever. I mean, this is just another one of these junky names that we're gonna try and capture volume, and then maybe never look at it again. It's I don't even know why it ran yesterday.
Yeah, and today, no new news, obviously. This, to me, is just momentum from yesterday. Technical setup is really going to be all that you can trade here, I would say. One of the things that we'd be looking for some more upside here is going to be this trend break to the upside. We'll see if we get that. Really quick look, since we got a fresh batch of short interest in here, negligible, right? 0.25% here on the short interest, just a day to cover, obviously less than that. As a reminder, it is 1.77 million shares in the float. This is likely why we were able to have such a volatile move yesterday in both directions. Frankly, we'll see if we get that here today. Really good stuff there. YIBO. Okay, next here is going to be back. Ticker BACK. This is IMAC Holdings here. IMAC shares are trading higher after the company announced it launched Ignite Proteomics. Proteomics? Did I say that right? You'll have to correct me. It's a new subsidiary. This actually popped yesterday in the after hour here. It is holding again here today. Nothing new here today. Stock is up 66.5%. However, we did just lose the VWAP. So we were rejected at the VWAP here. We sold away from it. We're not breaking down. What do you think here? You think we have a possibility of this setting up for a long-side trade for us today?
Well, let's see here. I took a quick look at this one, and I don't have full. I didn't look at this fully like I usually like to, but I just see that we just have slightly under 2 million shares in the float, so going to be easy to move this around. But the company does need cash. They don't have enough of it to really do much of anything. So I think this is another one that could be at risk of a capital raise today or sometime in the very near future. I don't think I really had a whole lot after that. This company is, where's this company based out of? Well, anyway, I don't know where, I didn't cover this one as much. So I don't really have a whole lot of opinion on this, but let me look at the technicals here. It looks like we're trying to reverse and go back up to VWAP, but I can see from the price action this morning that VWAP has been a little bit of a dirty dog here, trying to push this price action down. Every time it gets a move over VWAP or it tries to capture VWAP and move higher, it just gets slapped right down beneath VWAP. So that's going to be something, if we're going to trade this, to be careful and mindful of, is VWAP. This price has not lasted very long above it. So until we start seeing a good solid footing above VWAP, like maybe 20 minutes or more above the VWAP, then I would just thank my lucky stars that I got upside and sell into the strength.
Okay, real quick here, just to kind of answer your question, I was able to poke through the investors relation page here. IMAC Holdings is incorporated in Delaware.
Oh, excellent.
So there you go. Again, shout out to Pro for having the info right there at my fingertips. Took me 2 seconds to do that. Okay, really good breakdown there on BACK. One of the things that I've noticed here, we are trying to hold the top end of this area. I have the exact top of this candle, 135, but frankly, even if this fell into this 120 to 135 area, that might be the next area of support. You're correct, though. We really do want to see if this can trade back up to the VWAP and maybe take that out. We'll see if we get that. Okay, next one here is going to be TRIB, ticker TIRB, Trinity Biotech PLC. Trinity Biotech shares are trading higher after the company announced results from its pre-pivotal clinical trial for its continuous glucose monitoring system. The stock was a penny stock yesterday, traded up almost as high as 170 here today, has backed off, but just as we were talking right here, recaptured the VWAP. Again, quick look around the horn here, just about 0.25% of the float shorted. Negligible short interest, less than a day to cover, no squeeze potential there. Float just shy of 22 million, so 13. What do you think here on TRIB?
So another international company, this one's Irish, and they are also going to need to have a lot of money for what is going to be a long clinical process, because this is the pre-clinical process that they are reporting on. And they have 21.9 million shares in the float. They did the most recent reversal that they did was back in February, so almost a year ago. It was a 1-for-5. They have some revenue, but I don't see a read on their cash position. I don't think they have any. Which is a little concerning, considering that they still have a whole slew of clinical trials they need to go through with this. I believe this is a device. So this is a medical device company, but I think that it's just another one of these that could raise capital real soon. Let me just look at the technicals here, because it's
diagnostic products for point of care. You're exactly right on that.
Yep. So this one is trying to hold above VWAP. That was a nice reversal of about 5-10 minutes ago. Let's see if it can hold VWAP. If it does, then I'd expect this to have a push up into the open. MACD is showing you it hasn't quite curled yet, but I would be a little bit patient and just wait and see what it does with VWAP. We start to see it move up in a way like maybe towards 140 and a little bit higher than that, then I think we've got a good case for some further upside. Does look like it runs into some selling issues once it approaches 160, as you can see from those upper shadows that we had earlier this morning, just indicating a reversal there. So that was a nice technical setup there to go lower. Now we're getting a good technical setup to go higher. Let's see if it resolves.
Okay, awesome. And it's stock float of 22 million. It's traded 53 million shares almost already today. Okay. We already talked about back Hollow. We talked about this yesterday. I don't really know if there's anything new that needs to be said. They obviously just kind of joined in with the DeepSeek PR yesterday, had nothing here today. Sure looks like we're trading on some momentum for yesterday. The interesting note about that is that the momentum seems to be manufactured, because we had a big pop yesterday and it spent the rest of the day giving everything back. Now we're popping a little bit here in the pre-market on much less volume. So let's see if Hollow sets up here for us today. What do you think of Hollow, YOLO, JOLO here today?
Know what you're trading.
That's really good advice. Know what this thing can do. We've seen it before. Do you want me to go to the daily chart? I know that we've often talked about these things seem to have these periodic pops.
Yeah, I mean, we are getting into that zone where it has the February and August, these random spikes that seem to go off, faithfully. So there could be a big move coming up in Hollow. It's just that I don't want to say, oh yeah, it's going to be this week or it's going to be this day, because I frankly don't know exactly what day we could see that move in February. Just like we had in August, I was speculating that this might, as a repeating pattern, happen. So that turned out to be correct. Could be correct this time around in February. This might be the start of it, and it could potentially go higher. How high? I don't know. This is just one of those things where you just have to look at what it's done in the past, understand what this thing is that you're trading, and know the risks, because I don't think there's a really good level to get into this. If you're going to try and trade the upside for that February push, maybe you just have to plug your nose and jump in. But that's the not part of my risk profile. I just don't want to blindly go into this thing. So I would say just watch the price action, wait for a setup. and then try to capture what you can of this, if anything. But I personally would not be holding, hollow at all.
Okay. Really good stuff there. I don't really have anything else to add other than, look, if you do trade this here and you get some gains, don't be afraid to take it. We've seen this a lot. A couple of people here mentioning BKSY. No, we haven't covered that yet. So why don't we go over and do that real quick? This is Black Sky Technologies. Again, ticker BKSY. We did have a news catalyst here today on Black Sky here. You can see this stock closed at about 1330 yesterday, popped as high as 16 and change here today. Black Sky Technology awarded a more than $100 million contract from a long-term strategic partner in the international defense sector for real-time space-based monitoring capabilities. So here you go. This is another thing in the space theme, not necessarily a rocket company, but instead a space monitoring company. BKSY, I know we've talked about this before, but not quite as much as some of those other space names that we've covered in more depth. Quick look around the horn here before I kick it over to you. 9% of the float shorted, so certainly more elevated than some of these other ones, although nothing alarming here. 2.73 days to cover. Maybe there's a little bit here, but all of that can get covered up pretty quickly. I don't anticipate a huge squeeze. 25.769 million shares in the float here. By the way, on average, this stock trades about 1.14 million. We're already over half of that here today on the back of this piece of news. So 13, I ask you, what do you make of BKSY? And is there anything here in the news that jumps out to you?
This is on the space watch list. It's one of several.
Yep.
And I think this is closer to Planet Labs because this is a company that does imaging. I think they also do other kind of monitoring that's similar to Planet Labs that they can be used to watch for changes in the land conditions or atmospheric conditions in a certain region. So it could be used for crop harvesting and knowing when to plant, when to harvest, and different things like that. I haven't looked into this. This wasn't one that I really covered in depth when I put that together, that whole report. I kind of wish I had because it did pop up a little bit when I was doing research. But let's take a look at the technicals on this one, because this one could end up being one of the ones that moves really well in the future, along with the other space plays. It has moved pretty well in the past. We were starting to get that space movement. As far as we just broke through the VWAP, so much for me mentioning that. Looks like 1638 is the pre-market high. Wouldn't be surprised if we just went right up there and tried to take that out. Looking at a longer term time frame, we can see that we still have some more upside levels to consider. We are headed towards some, I think maybe we see potentially some resistance around 1650 again. How high did we get again? Yeah, 1638. So 1650 might be a spot. Let's see what else we got here. And then we have these highs from like the December of 22 and July of 23. So that's going to be 18 and 19. So those could be other upside level resistance areas as well. So I would say 1650, 18, and 19 for upside.
And it's going right here. Looks like we got a 16 test on our hands, and the volume is not negligible here. It's actually a little bit of a volume pop as well. Okay, we're backing off that spot. Let's see here. BKSY, this one, there you go. So whoever was asking about this, RP Trades and Jonathan, DeJohnette. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. If I didn't, please correct me, and I will work on that. BKSY, this one looking pretty good here. Looking like we might have something on here. Okay.
And good morning to everybody that's just now joining.
Good morning, everybody. I like to call it the early crew and then the regular crew. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Let us know if there's anything that you want to cover. We're actually almost done with the movers here. We do have, 22 minutes until we open. We should be able to do ticker time for the remaining day here. And also, don't forget to vote in our poll. We love interacting with you folks. And And polls are a really good way to do that. And we can do it now with our new stream provider, which is sick. Okay, next here is going to be TC. This is Ton Chi. I'm probably butchering that, and I'm sorry, but you get the point here. Ton Chi shares are trading higher after the company announced it's adopting the DeepSeek R1 model for topographic AI. Now, a couple of things here. We'll also talk about JG here, which was a mover from yesterday. We had discussed that this theme that's going on is likely going to produce more opportunities. And it would appear that that's exactly what's going on here. We actually said this yesterday. Expect to see more of these smaller kind of names come out with news related to DeepSeek. Well, guess what? That's what we got here today. They are going to adopt the R1 model to accelerate intelligent technology upgrades. If you want to know what that means, go through the PR here. If you believe it, that's on you. This is a Chinese company here. Quick look around the horn. First of all, float right where we want it, 2.14 million. This is really kind of popped off for us. Obviously, the catalyst here today is what's really driving this. 5 million shares almost traded here today versus an average volume of 613,000. By the way, BKSY, for you BKSY traders, a push through 16 on volume again just now. That one is definitely going to be in play here today. And then also getting back to TC here, short interest 1.83%. Not a whole lot. 1 day to cover 13. What do you make of this? We knew this was coming. We discussed this yesterday in the morning show. We discussed this again in happy hour. Here we are today with what's happening. What do you make of this?
So you could probably see the trend line right there. You start at the 195 high from yesterday and draw it through the pre-market high of 150 this morning. And you can see that with this setup that we have going on here over the past 15 minutes, it looks like it's trying to have another visit to that trend line, if not break through it. So we could be seeing a big move coming in TC pretty soon. Now, I don't know how long that's going to last. Maybe it goes up to the pre-market high. Maybe it goes up to yesterday's high of 195. But this would be one that I'd be selling into the strength. I don't know how high it goes. I very, very, I think it's very risky with these names that we've never heard of before suddenly getting prominence because of the DeepSeek theme. So if you can capture some of that movement, do it, and then don't stick around, because I don't think these will either.
Okay, really good stuff here. Ticker TC. We'll see if this gets rolling here. Okay, I got one more here with a piece of news, and then we have a theme that I kind of want to get to. Oh, you know what? Really quickly, I guess I did want to mention JG. I had mentioned that at the beginning here. This was the big mover that we had yesterday on the adoption of the DeepSeek R1 model. It is worth noting. I mean, we talk about some of these stocks being junky, so credit where credit is due. The stock was $6 prior to that piece of news. Obviously, we printed a high of 21. Today here, we're actually still holding above 100% from that initial release, 1374. So we'll see if this ends up getting going here today. You can actually see a pretty significant triple bottom here. I know these levels are a little bit different. This first one here is just about 1270. The other one here is about 12. So this 12 to 13 area, this pretty much to me looks like the last line of defense. I think if we crack this, we probably come back in. Remember, this thing started in a 6 handle. So this on the same thing, the DeepSeek R1 PR, this is what drove it yesterday. We'll see if we get some action here today.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
One thing real quick here regarding some of all this, the price action we had yesterday. All the things that got hammered yesterday are likely going to see a bounce today. So I see some folks mentioning the quantums.
And that's exactly where I'm going next. That's beautiful.
Okay, LO. So you're going to see a lot of these nuclear themes rebound. You're going to see the quantums rebound. Maybe even some of these drone plays will start to rebound as well. Don't know how long this rebound is going to last, but because of the nature of how quickly they were hammered, they tend to, like a rubber band, they're going to snap back before they start resuming their regular price action. So keep an eye on all those movers that were really getting hammered yesterday. They should see some recovery today.
Okay, and that's actually where I'm going after this last one. So let me knock this out here real quick, and then maybe we'll do some ticker time on some of these charts. Again, I do see a lot of the chat going after some of these quantum names. Looks like Nick, Lion, you guys are already on it. That's awesome. I definitely want to hear what you folks are thinking about there. And then Cyril, you're also talking about Oklo, so we'll tie all that stuff together here. But let's knock out CDT here real quick. This is Conduit Pharmaceuticals. We did have a catalyst here. Conduit Pharmaceutical shares are trading higher after the company announced it has advanced its drug development with AI integration through its collaboration with Sarborg. Okay, I just fully admit here, I don't know, just to borrow Red Dog's comment from earlier, I'm not smart enough to know what Sarborg is. Here's your PR, positive drug development. Stock is up 15%. The notable thing from the chart or from the price action here today is the immediate reversal. It looks like this is just a kind of a knee-jerk reaction that really got sold back down. Now, we are holding here plus 15%. This initial spike does carve out a decent range for us and gives us some targets here. The VWAP is at 482. I just want to give you a little bit of caution here. Anytime I see that type of price action in the pre-market, generally speaking, it's a concern. Somewhat. Anyway, short interest here. We did get a fresh read. It doesn't look like I'm getting a float measurement anymore. The short interest crept up by about a million. Did we have a recent split here?
That's what I'm looking to see.
We did.
Yep. 2025. Actually, that was yesterday.
Yes, it was. We had a 1 for 100 reverse split yesterday. So, okay, there we go. Now we have the catalyst on top of it. The stock is popping. I would be careful with this one here today. Obviously I didn't carry this one into today. Again, same deal. If you have gains on this, please don't be afraid to take them. 13. What do you make of this, CDT? I'm doing too much there.
Low float. Financials look like crap. Yeah, this is definitely one we're trading. I didn't cover this one, so I don't know really a whole lot about it. It's very much in the same wheelhouse as some of these other low float ones that need to do a capital raise. So just be careful with this. If you get the movement you're looking for, don't be afraid to take your gains. There's a real risk with some of these that don't have cash that need it to go through with their drug development or their clinical trials. So just keep that in mind when you're trading these low float movers that don't have a very good cash position.
Okay. Real good stuff there. And then now let's talk about some of those other things really quickly. I did want to address something here. First of all, we will definitely talk about Boeing again here, Chris. We covered their earnings. I guess I shouldn't say I covered it. I briefly mentioned their earnings here. Remember, they pre-announced and got hit on that pre-announcement. So not a huge amount of movement here. But then also want to address this question here from Shawn Michaels, because we do get things like this. We hear about things like this. They talk about stuff like this on CNBC and Discord rooms. Let's just address this right now. Sean's question here: how many of you got a margin call yesterday? I'm proud to say I did not receive a margin call yesterday. I actually had a great day yesterday, largely because one of my biggest holdings that I've been getting absolutely pimp slapped on, Portillo's, caught an upgrade yesterday and actually performed really well. So I had some help yesterday. I think I was 2 for 3 on day trades, didn't do a whole lot, but did not get a margin call. The bigger thing that I want to mention here is, folks, if you want to avoid margin calls, it's easy. Don't trade on margin. Very, very simple. This is how I operate. I have a margin account, but I don't use margin. It's another reason why I often will buy puts instead of taking something short for the most part. You also hear Anne-Marie, whenever she talks about giving her trade, she's very aware of letting you know whether or not you're going to use margin in that particular trade. So if you want to avoid this, there's a very, very easy way. Don't trade with other people's money. Don't use margin. Here we go. Izzy, I can appreciate this. I never get a margin call ever because I don't use it. I'm assuming this is what you're saying here. Jane saying, I don't trade on margin. Never use money you don't have. Chris saying, don't trade on margin. Great way to avoid nasty calls. Cash only. Crimp Biscuit saying that my advice is good here. So again, there's reasons why you can do some of this stuff. Like, they have margin available. I understand if you have a small account and you want to borrow some money and increase your leverage, I totally get it. But again, this comes down to understanding the risks in each of your trade plan. For me, I can avoid this at the outset by simply not using it. So a totally a fair question. Even when we had Red Dog on earlier this morning, he was saying, look, yesterday could have been a bad day. Don't let it get to you the whole night. It happens. This is part of the business. It happens. If you want to avoid these things, don't trade on other people's money. Sorry about the rant there, but I feel like that's important.
Real quick, Cyril, the name of that company, if you're referring to the one we were talking about this morning, is TRIB, TRIB.
Margin is worst. Broker makes money. Smita, I am with you. Okay, really quickly here. Charles asking, can we get the same kind of charts as you from Benzinga Pro with the colors and the VWAP as you? If so, how? Yes, as a matter of fact, you can. So again, I'm not going to go through a walkthrough. Charles, if you do want a walkthrough or if you want some one-on-one help, you can always shoot me an email. Let me go ahead and throw my email here in the chat. I'll make sure I spell it correctly so that I don't send somebody off on a wild goose chase. That's not my intention. But yes, the way that you do that is you can add on the chart tab of details, which is what I recommend that you use. Okay, the details tool is the tool. The chart tab here is the sub tool, I suppose you could call it. When you're on the chart tab, you want to use the indicators menu. This will allow you to add any indicator to the chart. And then once you have it plotted, you can customize that indicator by mousing over the indicator in the upper left corner. If it's up there, worth noting, if you add something like RSI or MACD, it's going to be in the bottom here. Charles, let me hide your comment so you can see this. It's going to be right down here at the bottom. Wherever that indicator is stored, you actually have this little gear cog in here. And when you click on that gear cog, not only can you adjust the length, but you can also adjust the style. And I have spent time customizing some of these lines so that they're easier for me to see, but also so they're easier for you to see. Worth noting, you can adjust the opacity and the thickness of those lines as well. So Charles, yes, you can absolutely do that. It's right here in the chart tab of details. If you need some further help, shoot me an email and I would be happy to help you with that. Okay, let me go back to the movers list because the one thing I wanted to mention, we're running out of time. Got 10 minutes, we got plenty of time, but I wanted to mention here, and you kind of already touched on it, these quantum names and these AI names, it looks like they're coming back. So I think we had Lion mention earlier, QUBT. I suppose we can start with that. Nick, you mentioned one. Maybe it was the same one. Help me out. I can't remember. But here we go. It doesn't matter, really. Just pick one. These quantum names seem to be rebounding. You saw this actually try to rebound yesterday, really got slammed to the lows, and then higher we are here today. So mind your technicals. You might have some more trades on this. QUBT, one to watch. RGTI, which has been one of the big winners for us, another one to watch here. QBTS, D-Wave Quantum. All of these things look the same, right? All of these things look the same. So these clearly seem to be in play here. The other thing I'll mention, NBIS. This is another one of those AI plays that really got smoked yesterday. This came from 40 plus down here in a 27 handle. I'm going to be watching this one. Remember, our first buy on NBIS was 17. And we piked it. Sold it in a 20 handle and it went to 40. That was a little disappointing. Also worth noting, there were a couple of the nuke stocks we're back on here. Here's SMR here today. This got hit yesterday pretty good. OKLO got hit yesterday pretty good. These are going to be back in play here again. And by the way, on OKLO, it's worth mentioning, we're about to retest that trend line that we drew on that broadening formation. Okay. Easy for me to say. Did you have anything that you wanted to add there, or did you want me to go to something else?
I wanted to get to Andrew Senior TV's question he had a little while back about a couple of OTC stocks that were Australian companies. I just wanted to answer his question real quick. He wanted to know what I thought about them.
Okay, well, hang on a sec. This is funny that you mentioned that. I'm going to try to find the quote here. You had mentioned earlier when we talked about TRIB that we had another international company. So that marks a Chinese, an Israeli, and an Irish company. I was about to make the joke, boy, if we could get some Australian companies, we'd have all of the corners of the earth covered here. Sounds like you just went ahead and did that without me even mentioning it.
Yeah, but these aren't moving. These are just
okay.
He was asking if my thoughts on it because he's looking to go long. So the first ticker is FSUGY. This is Fortescue Metal, and this is the metals and mining company in Australia. and I just got to say right off the bat, I don't have enough information on these to know to give a really good opinion. So I'm just going to kind of tell you about what I think with if this falls into a good theme, and probably just leave it at that because I don't know enough about these companies. But the concern I would have about this particular company is that there's a lot of competition for different metals in mining, and especially in their region. So I don't know how well this company might do. Like I said, I don't have enough information on them, so they may be really set up for explosive growth. I just don't know that for a fact. I don't even have a float reading with it in pro, so I'd have to go and look for that. But as far as the other one goes, which is on the oil and gas side, this ticker is CTXAY. This one would be a little bit more interesting to me because this one apparently is the largest.
CTXEY. Okay, I just want to make sure say again. Sorry, I did screw it.
CTXAY.
There it is. There you go. Sorry
this
about
one.
that.
No worries. This one is the largest and only Australian listed petroleum refiner and distributor. So that makes it really kind of interesting. They've got a big edge on the Australian market for energy. So I think this would be more interesting to me. Again, I don't have enough information on it, but this one looks more interesting to me than the metals and mining one. So I'm sorry I can't give you enough information on or a better opinion on this, but I think based on where we're headed with these current themes that we find ourselves in, especially with supply chain security, I could see how the metals company might be attractive, but I think this oil and gas one is a better play. That's just my opinion on it, though.
Okay, real quickly here, Mike. Good morning, Mike. 13. That company, I think you're referring to CTXAY. Correct me if that's wrong. That company makes up 1.61% of the EWA ETF for Australia. So interesting there. These are serious Australian companies. Okay. Let me flip over. Let's see. We've got 5 minutes here. Let me flip over to the main workspace. It looks like you guys are wasting no time getting positioned here. Oh, I did want to mention this. You guys, Mike, you also dropped some news here on Boeing. Boeing's CEO just said they want to work with Musk to speed up delivery. Well, I would imagine that would have a positive impact on the stock, and I would imagine correctly. So here we go. Remember, news here, Boeing reported earnings officially. They had pre-announced not far back, and they got hit on that. Really quickly, just to kind of cover it, 2024 adjusted EPS, that was a 590 loss. It was a big miss there. The estimate was for a 244 loss. Sales, 15.24 billion, misses the 16.17 billion estimate. So today we reported those earnings. We were a little bit lower, but fairly flat since we pre-announced. Now we're getting this headline here that Mike is breaking for us regarding the CEO wanting to speed up the delivery here. This is popping Boeing. I guess the next thing that we should do, this probably puts Boeing in play here today. I guess I'd like to see some more volume. We'll see if that creeps up here. Looking at the Boeing daily chart here, popping up to 182, looks like we're trying to break out from this recent high that we made when we bounced off of this trend line. So an interesting spot here on Boeing. We'll see where this goes. Producer giving us a little bit more information here. He expects to win FAA approval to build more than 38 MAX planes per month by the second half of the year on CNBC. That's why Boeing is popping here. 13, I know that this is just kind of news breaking here and you weren't necessarily prepared for it. Do you have anything on this?
Well, you have that 500-day SMA that's in the way of progress beyond 193.50. So that could be, just a near-term upside target if you're just looking to be in and out of this thing in a short period of time. You do have a golden cross that's coming up here, though. That's when the 50 crosses the 200-day to the upside. Haven't had a cross of these two moving averages since early March, so not really getting oscillation here. This could be considered a good reversal with more upside. I think you're going to see some resistance at that 500, but once you find some support that's going to help push it through there, possibly in the just around 190, I would say. Then this thing could get as high as it could go over 300 because this has been trading in a broadening wedge for a long period of time. And if we start getting this, if this is going to be a company that's really recovering and is actually making strides for that recovery, this could see some massive upside. It could potentially 2x from the bottom that we recently had in November.
Okay, good stuff there on Boeing. Is he telling us that Kramer just gave $100 price target on Palantir? Rip Palantir longs. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry that Jim Cramer did that. I'm just having some fun. Okay, let me flip back over to the main workspace. We'll cover what's moving on here, or what's moving around here. Remember, folks, we did talk about some of those quantum names. We do expect that to kind of be in play here today. We'll see if that gives us a trading action. Sure looks to my eye here like QUBT is trying to break a little higher here, maybe 1036. We'll see.
Diamond Hotline. What I said about TRIB, TRIB, is that's the Irish company, the Irish medical device company that does not appear to have enough cash to start getting into the pivotal clinical trials that they are talking about. So I'd expect them to do a capital raise at some point soon in order to start those clinical trials.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's funny, Lionel. It puts out really like awful earnings, but I think a lot of that was already priced in because they had the preliminary news last week. So I think a lot of that got taken care of, and then of course they put out this report, and now it's going higher because I think the investors are kind of thinking, well, maybe this is the point where they turn around. They're talking about building 38 aircraft in the second half. After the FAA approval. So there's a lot of positivity. And I think a lot of investors are thinking, okay, well, maybe the worst is over now. New CEO seems to be getting the company's act together. So the shareholders are rewarding them right now. Now, if we don't see some results soon, then it could get hammered again, absolutely. But for now, they're rewarding the stock.
Okay. And the market is open in 2, 1. Here
Boom.
we go. Market is open really quick, folks. While the opening print is taking place here, I did want to read you the results from the first poll of the day. Question was, do you trust DeepSeek with your data and their privacy policy? 69% of you said no, 17% of you said not sure, and 12% of you said yes. And we had some pretty good turnout on that poll as well. Thank you, everyone, for voting in that. We really appreciate it. All right, let's see. What do we have moving in here? SLXN. Looks like they're trying to bounce. Didn't quite come into that VWAP. Trying to go. DXF.
TRIB is pushing up.
TRIB. That's the other one on the. Oh, and TRIB. This actually, thank you. This one I actually like the most, although we just got hit there.
It's at VWAP, and it has a bit of a seller as well at 143. Looks like BACK back. That is getting some support from its 200 EMA out of the open here. So look for that to try and push back up. Got a lot of consolidation and EMAs to chew through on its way up to VWAP, which is at 1.6. I have it at 163, but it's looking like it's trying to turn around here. So keep an eye on back. DXF also pushing up. That's moving over some of the recent pre-market highs that we made into the open. The high of the pre-market, it's now halted actually, DXF. The high of the pre-market is 32.22.
NVNI, this has been a runner for a couple of days for us. This also popping here again. Looks like the chat is on top of this one. NVNI looks like that high print there off that impulse move, 560, and it stopped there. YIBO, this is from yesterday. This too is moving through the VWAP here. Remember, this thing was a halt fest yesterday. Be careful with this one if you trade it. But we are popping here. Let's see if we can get above. What level did we have here? 636, first 6, and then 636 looks to be the level there. YIBO.
Yeah, be careful with YIBO. I don't see many closes above 6 in the pre-market. That seems to be an area where sellers step in and slap it down. So let's see if they can get squeezed out, or if it's starting to push up.
There we go, right through 6 there. That was a nice little pop there, up to 610. Okay, I'm not going to chase this here. I've seen too many bad things. Jay Blue getting hammered on earnings, says stay focused. That's ticker JBLU, by the way. Oh, my goodness. Yes, it is. More downside here. What was going on? Was anything? The conference call starts in what, 28 minutes?
What they get hammered on?
Beat on the top and the bottom line. Available seat miles down 2% to 5%. Targeting 800 to 900 million in incremental EBIT. And the stormy guidance is I like how they call it, stormy guidance. Okay.
It's a whole different meaning when we hear that. SLXN is pushing up to 140. This might halt here.
NBIS, this is also trading up here. Remember, this is the AI name, SLXN. You folks are all over this. The chat is
Pro and I, yeah.
on it.
I think he may have said it before me, but I said that and looked over and he was saying the same thing. I was like, oh man. All right, so SLXN halted, DXF halted, BAC coming back down. See what I did there? BKSY, this is just whipping around, flirting with the highs and flirting with beneath VWAP as well. Kind of, sideways at the moment, but the MACD looks like this is indicating this could go lower. So be careful there. TC, the one that had that trend line, that went right down to the 200 EMA and is turning around, looking for a recapture of VWAP. Maybe we'll get some better movement if it does that.
Question here. Tapas is asking, what time tomorrow is the Tesla earnings? Tesla earnings are after hours always. Yeah. So that's going to be after the market tomorrow. Today we have Starbucks. And actually, here you go. I've got an asset for you. Here is your schedule for the week on the earnings. You can see Tesla there after the close, along with Meta and Microsoft and IBM. Those are going to be your big reports tomorrow night. Tonight, we've got Starbucks. I guess you could throw Logitech in there. But there you go. Let me know if you need this graphic. Again, remember, we've got Intel and Apple on Thursday.
Not a lot of these movers, aside from the ones that are halted, looking that great. I mean, YIBO, that's going back and forth between, being above VWAP and being beneath VWAP. We need to, I'm a little concerned that we're not going to get this break above this big move above 6 and higher. Or maybe we are. Here it goes.
Real quick
Nope.
here. Wanted to shout this out. Stay focused. Activist investor in J Blue, so it may be worth a buy at the 200. You can see here we're actually testing the 100 at 675. If we lose that, you're 200 down here 6.25.
Yibo's still getting support from VWAP. I'm just not sure we're gonna, the volume is starting to kind of evaporate a little bit here. I'm going to look at something else because I don't know what's going to happen here with Yibo. If you're going to play this and it rips, congratulations. I'm not sure this is going to give me what I'm looking for.
Here's BKSY. This is one that we talked about. That's Black Sky. This is actually right at its VWAP. We'll see which direction this picks. Trib getting a mention here in the chat. TRIB. This breaking down, unfortunately. Coming back. I know the jokes are just like the gears almost feel like they're turning too quickly.
They write themselves sometimes, dude.
Nvidia diving. Let's take a look here at Nvidia. Is anyone trading big tech? Meta, Nvidia, Amazon. I did notice that Amazon, that first move out of the gate there was up. Looks like we couldn't take out yesterday's pre-market high. I think, Lion, didn't you say you were on Meta earlier? Oh, Meta. New highs here today. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but damn, this one's nice. Intel and Apple will miss, says Lion. Okay. So you're looking for a miss there on those reports. How will they trade is the question. How are they trading today is the question. Here's Apple, big power candle out of the open, stopped at 234, it looks like.
Yibo is still trying to bubble, but I'd like to see a move soon. Black Sky, no, this thing is rolling over. MACD is about to cross. Trib, this now pushing over VWAP, so maybe there's something still here.
Just took it there, took it on volume.
Still waiting for DXF to, did this thing halt, unhalt, go down, and then halt again?
So I have this as halted at 9:36. So a minute ago, it did halt for the second time. That's what I see here.
Okay. Then that was fast. I didn't even see it happen. SLXN, though, that should be unhalting pretty soon here then.
I'm going to queue that up then if that's the case. That was 9:33. So your 5-minute halt should be expiring here in the next minute or less.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not that 5-minute halt, it'll be the 10. Line is on Meta calls. Line, is that one of the better active positions this morning? Because I'll tell you what, Meta just ran right out of that open there. Tell you what, Meta pretty much unaffected by the DeepSeek release yesterday. We covered it here on the show. Apple too, but Meta for a different reason.
Yeah, based off their model.
Indeed. SLXN is open. First move here was lower, trying to pull. I've got that VWAP at 118.
Let's see if it can get up and over 150. There's a big wall at 150 that I see there. There we go. Now we're moving.
There we go. Okay, so that was a nasty little washout dip there. Now we're going higher here. SLXN. Grats to anyone that's in this.
Fantastic.
Did you hit this one? Nice job. Nice job.
Yep, just had to wait for that. I mean, I wasn't in it when it unhalted, but as soon as it made that move down to VWAP, I took a little position and
good for you.
That got that move to 150.
Good for you. Great trade there, 13. In fact, you know what, 13? You're going to start the day off here. Pretty soon, it looks like we're going to be giving one of those to Lion. Lion, did you say your Meta call was a 680 call? Because you might be in the money here shortly. I think you also said Cat. Yeah, you did here.
Oh, yeah. Cat's going to be good. Cat's going to be good. And we're almost done with those California fires. Let's see. I always look at that. Almost fully contained on all the major fires, including the Palisades and Eaton fires that were the most devastating and largest ones.
Full disclosure, I did end up getting some EIX filled. So we'll see if the containment of those fires causes EIX to pop. I'm positioned for that. Really quickly, just in case anyone's curious, I ended up taking the February 65 calls on that. February 65 calls. And in fact, none have traded here today. So we'll see. EIX is the way that I'm playing that. That was a good mention by you yesterday, by the way.
Thank you. And this should see, once those fires are out, those at the very least, I think this will see a mean reversion. So like a move back up to the 20-day SMA. Not sure what's going to happen after that. It could reverse and go back down because this is if they have any hand in the start of this fire, it's going to probably be an ugly time for this company. Mm-hmm. So there might be some bounces here, some maybe moves back over 60 and then rejection around 64 or 65 that sends it back down. So I expect some back and forth with this one for a while after we get that headline that all fires are out. So it will provide some good trades, but I'm not ready to go into this for a long-term position at all yet.
Okay. Good stuff here. Trib, this is continuing to push higher. We are making some wicks. This is on the 1 minute. Let's see what it looks like on the 5 minute. Up, same deal. Some pretty big upper shadows there, but Trib's trying to go. New highs just printed a second ago.
Yeah, and I'd be worried about this coming right back beneath VWAP. It does look like the it does look like the MACD is curling up though. So let's see if we get across there.
Back actually closing that gap here to VWAP. Lion, you're saying you're in the 660 calls. This is good stuff. I always buy the dip in the money. Okay, so for those of you that are trading, I get this question all of the time from newer option traders. Anne Marie gets it all the time too. How do you know which strike to pick? Lion, it looks like when you're buying things that are dipping, right, you're buying in the money or at the money, I'm guessing, so that if you do get that dead cat, you're getting the most appreciation and premium on that contract. Let me know if I'm right on that. That makes sense. KSCP, huge scalp, so much so that you have your caps lock key stuck to on. Okay, it's a 10% move. The volume's not bad here on the Robot Policeman Night Scope.
Oh, Smoke Tuna, you're right about that. It's a craptastic day.
Yeah, it is. In fact, BRB, 1 sec. I'll step away here for a second.
TRIB, we were just looking at that one, worried about the wicks on the top there, those upper shadows. Still got a little more than 2.5 minutes left in this candle, this 5-minute candle. So not sure if this is going to end up falling beneath VWAP again yet. MACD is still looking like we could get a crossing soon. We need to just wait and see what this candle is going to tell us, because if we have another wick here and it closes beneath VWAP, I may just want to step away and look at something else. Back after hitting VWAP, that went right back down to the 200 EMA where it's currently getting support. So almost an engulfing candle here. If this real body engulfs that previous 5-minute candle like it's about to do right now, then that would be a bearish indication of this going lower. So back, that's not a candle you want to see. Trib, however, this one's still not putting in that final upper shadow. Keeps trying to push up. Still got less than 2 minutes left in this one. TC, this one with the trend line, still getting support from the 200 EMA. Volume just looks awful in this one. This could end up just falling right out of bed and maybe going back underneath the dollar if it doesn't get some buyers to step in soon. DXF found support from the 65 EMA. It's currently beneath VWAP, but it is trying to turn around on Garbo volume. Very spready as well. That's DXF. And SLXN, just looking at this again, this is now halted to the downside after having a wild previous candle that was above VWAP. Now we're beneath VWAP and looking at the 9 EMA as support. But the MACD is indicating that this is about to roll over. Well, that was fun. What are we looking at now? Trib, let's go. Come on, Trib. Everybody wants you to do something. Oh, and that is not what you want to see. That is not the wick we want to see here. This is exactly what we did not want out of this one. Hopefully we don't get this to close, but we have less than a minute left in this 5-minute candle.
Sorry, let me put it up. I have the wrong stock on the screen here. Here's Trib.
Yeah, so if you look at a 5-minute chart, you'll see that the upper shadows I'm referring to need to hold above this VWAP. Got less than 30 seconds. I'm not liking the way this is looking at the moment.
Okay. Trib could go.
I mean, it might, but the way it's trading right now, I'm not sure. Maybe it goes later. But let's see how this candle closes. I'm not. The price action out of the first 15 minutes here is not, giving me a whole lot of confidence. But let's see what the next candle does, because this closed above VWAP, so there's hope. But I don't like those upper shadows.
Yeah, I've got VWAP here at 131 in my broker, 129. We're pretty much sitting right there. Dip buyers and semis are hurting right now.
Well, then let's take a look at what sectors are up.
Trib continuing to come in here. That was a good call, 13. This is continuing to pull.
Yeah, and maybe the buyers step in, once it shakes out a little bit and pulls it back up. But yeah, those upper shadows, I think that was telling you the story there. Let's see here. What was I looking for? Heat map. Gosh, is this real?
What? What do you want me to go to? I'm not even sure what you're referencing.
Well, I'm just looking at what's up and what's down, and it's just kind of weird. I mean, we haven't. This can't be right. Nvidia's not up 2.7%, is it?
No, Nvidia is down on the day. Sounds like you might need a refresh there, buddy. Nvidia down 0.38% here.
Okay, I don't know what's going on with this heat map, but it is wrong. I'm gonna take that wrong off the screen there. And I'll just look elsewhere. Okay, so black sky. This might get going here.
BKSY just recaptured the VWAP.
Yes, sir. This needs better volume. What's the volume like in the SPY right now? I have not seen a whole lot of things with great volume. What's got good volume right now? Anybody know? I mean, positive volume.
We can here. You know what we can do? We can actually. Let me set up a new thing here real quick.
RNAS. All right, I'm gonna look at RNAS.
Nvidia is your largest or your highest volume trading stock, 102 million shares. Remember, Nvidia did almost 900 million shares yesterday.
Oh, great mention on RNAS. This thing has just had nothing but green candles out of the open. And
let me go back to my main workspace here.
Good stuff. Lower. Sorry.
I was just going to say SLXN looks like it is trying to bounce off that VWAP there. It did pull beneath it, but it's trying here. RNAS looks good. I never brought that up. Let me do that.
Oh, yeah. SLXN still looks like we might roll over.
Jay mentioning an inverse correlation between Apple and Nvidia. We kind of touched on that yesterday, but this is a full-out relationship call here. Here's Apple up 1.8%, and Nvidia, to Jay's point here, down 0.5%. Seem to be moving in opposite directions, indeed.
DXF coming down to that trend line that you pointed out. So either we're going to get a bounce off of there, or if it continues to be weak, it's going to fall through, and that's going to be an indication that this is going to go lower.
Meta, LOL. What's Meta doing? Oh, Meta pulled off that. Wow. Meta pulled off that spot. 660 call. That was what you had there, right, Lion? You're still in the money on that. You're still good. I'm going to run through some of the movers here. Trib maybe trying to bounce here. We'll see if that recrosses the VWAP. SLXN did bounce off that VWAP. RNAS, this is halted to the upside. What's NVNI doing?
I still not sure about SLXN here. The MACD just is making me a little bit more cautious.
Izzy mentioning a market sell-off here. S&P futures are at the lows here. Here's your SPY chart. SPY at the lows as well. S&P futures here down 0.34%. That loss is speeding up here. Dow down 0.25%. NASDAQ leading the way down 0.4% to the downside.
And they're not rotating into China stocks either. The yen is down 3%. Now, if it starts to, if it goes green, then maybe they are. But for me, it doesn't look like they've really made that move into the China stocks yet.
Okay. Tesla sank right out of the open here. Now it's trying to bounce here. We'll see where this ends up going. No trade here. Tesla 13. Tesla bouncing off yesterday's pre-market lows.
CA4 has been saying PDY looking like it found support on the 1 minute. And you got that Nvidia bounce at 117. That level I've had marked off for months because it is a very interesting support level.
On which one were you mentioning?
Nvidia,
sorry.
Yeah, if you just draw a 117 line and just keep it there, it's going to be good. It's going to be good for your chart. Trust me.
Okay.
It'll help you. It'll help you just make decisions.
Here. 117 even, huh?
Yep.
Let me go ahead and do that here. 13. It's going to be good for your chart.
It'll be good for your chart.
I think I like that.
It's Dr. 13 says it's good for your chart's health.
Dr. 13. That's the first time I've heard that one here. I will say I can confirm that 117 level seems to be a clear level. You guys are mentioning BLBX. Is that the black box stocks? One of those recent runners that we traded? BLBX? Hey, all right. Had a nice little ramp there. We've pulled now and we lost the VWAP. Glad you guys made some money on that. I got out of Trib pretty much flat there. I didn't lose, but I think I was up what? Yeah, I was up $4. I'm not even going to call that a win. That can't even buy lunch. That's flat.
SLXN making another attempt to recapture VWAP here. I think it needs better volume, but that still doesn't mean it couldn't recapture VWAP. Whether or not
what VWAP
holds,
figure do you have? I've got mine at 123.
I have it 132.
Okay. We're right there.
Mm-hmm. We are right there.
Also, Trib trying to hold 125 here. I've got VWAP on Trib at 131. We'll see if we can go higher on Trib.
Not
Anyone
too far
else
off.
get good setups today?
Not anything that I'm trying TC. Just to see
that up here. Okay.
Just to see if it's going to make its way up to that trend line that we identified. It needs to get back over VWAP, but this one I'm just trying because it had a couple of or a few I don't want to say reversals, but it took a few 15 minutes of hanging out down at the 200 EMA on the 5 minute before we started reversing. So I thought, okay, well maybe at the very least it gets up to VWAP. The best case scenario is that it tests this trend line that we identified, and that would take it up to about 130.
Okay. Good stuff there.
Gosh, back not looking great. This is coming back down, and it might find support around 110. But I don't know for a fact that it will. It just in the after hours, that was a bit of a support area after the initial price action. That was where it was getting support. So 110.
Reddit continuing to move higher here. Izzy, looks like you took some Amazon there. Is that bouncing? Oh, man, Amazon ripping here. You know what? We didn't really get that sell-off out of the open that we talked about yesterday, but we did get that rip there. So good stuff there. BHF is flying. That's, oh my God, Bright House Financial. Indeed, this is on earnings. Huh? Nope. Okay. So, Bright House Financial shares are trading higher following a report the company is trying to sell itself.
We had a question about VWAP from James.
Okay.
What is VWAP? That's VWAP.
VWAP stands for volume weighted average price. If you're looking at the screen right now, it's this light blue line. Let me put on here you go. It's the light blue line. This shows both of the colors there pretty close together. That light blue line represents a support and resistance intraday level. We use that pretty much every day here in some capacity or another. So you will often hear us say it.
We're seeing movement with RNAS. This thing popped up to 155 out of the halt.
This is a good call. Tuna, I think you were on RNAS early, right?
Back is trying to find some footing at around 116. Very slow moving. I still think this may end up going lower. SLXN, this is trying to recover and recapture VWAP. It's above VWAP now. The big test is going to be at 150, where there's a large amount of sell orders. If it can get through that, then we could take a look at some other upside targets. But that would be a big level to get through, because 155 is the intraday high. I think I already mentioned DXF. Black Sky is also slow moving, but we're coming up to the highs of not only the pre-market but the intraday session. A little bit of a spread here. I think once we get through 135, 140, that could be where we see this thing really take off. RNAS halted again. Okay. Yeah, so it really depends on the broker, Epic Escapes, because as you just saw with Ryan, he's got a slightly different VWAP value than I do. So it's just a difference in brokers. They're very close, but they're not going to be the exact same because of where they have their VWAP starting point, I think.
Yeah, I think it just has to do with how they're calculating it, whatever those inputs are. Tribs continuing to roll over here. We'll see if BAC ends up trading back higher.
Black Sky trying to push to the highs of the pre-market and regular session.
Okay.
And then there was RNAS that popped up to 1180, and then it came back in and closed about at VWAP. So this is halted now to the downside.
Rustam, $5 sticker. Rustam, we appreciate you. Not necessary, but we always appreciate it. SABS, SABS stock. Is it worth the attention? Please take a look if you have a sec here. So I'm not familiar with this one, so let me try and do some due diligence on the fly here. SABS, SABS, SAB Biotherapeutics. This is down 50% today. Phase 1 clinical results showing drug was generally well tolerated among healthy volunteers. It got a buy from Craig Hallam. So interesting. So the stock is cut in half literally today. Yeah. Got a buy rating. I'm not familiar with the therapy itself. This would be the starting off point here. I would want to look into what the trial, how many people were in the trial, and et cetera. Go ahead, 13.
Yeah, I was just going to say that this headline doesn't read as well as some of these other clinical trial results we've seen in the past. You don't want to see things like generally well tolerated. That seems like it just barely made it across the finish line, so to speak. So I think that the devil's going to be in the details. They did put out a PR, so if you look through that, you might get an idea of why this is going lower. It doesn't sound very encouraging. It could lead to later trials showing that it's not meeting its endpoints. So
here's the other thing. Sorry to cut you off here, but this actually might answer it. Today's webinar will feature presentation from SabBio's management team. And a whole bunch of the people that work there. This happened this morning at 7:00 in the morning.
Okay.
So I've got to imagine that something that was heard out of that presentation, the market just did not like. I mean, the stock's down 50.5% here. Rustam, this is what I would say. Of course, any stock that really gets hit like that, maybe there's a bounce play. But without any more information about what actually is going on here, I would not follow along. If you wanted to do more due diligence, I might try and see what happened in this conference. If you can somehow get a transcript, you could probably quickly run that through AI and have it summarize some bullet points for you. Maybe that will help. That's what I would do here. But honestly, stock down 50% without me knowing exactly what's going on here, I'd look elsewhere.
Yeah, this is the lowest it's been since February of 2021. And I'm not even sure if this is the same company. It seems like we just had a big old move from the 2020s from 2019 to 2020 and then immediately 2021. I don't know if this is the same company as it was back then. This might be a new issue. I don't know. But it is, printing some really significant lows today, the lowest it's been since that February 2021 print. This may have been I don't know. I don't know exactly what this was before. I would just be careful with this thing. I mean, if it's making new 52-week lows, there might be a bounce play here. I wouldn't touch it though. Meanwhile, Black Sky making new highs.
Real quick here. Good call there on Black Sky. We had this one pegged. Real quick here, just as a programming note, I believe Anne-Marie is still dealing with some family issues here today, so I don't think we're going to have Anne-Marie's show. Of course, we're going to keep the seat warm for her, and if she shows up, we'll have her on. But 13, assuming we are not able to have her on, you down for an extra half hour here? Otherwise, I can do it on my own.
Oh, sure.
There you go, folks. We're
Black
breaking
Sky
news.
in the 17s now.
Good mention on this one, by the way.
Space play is on its way. Let's see. Where's the last time we were up here at 1725? That was 2023. So we were approaching 18-month highs almost. And I think where I mentioned this could end up going to was like 18 to 19. That would be the next resistance areas because we blew through that 1650. So we're above that now. That 18 and 19, those are the next upside targets here. So about $1 from where we're at.
Okay.
What happened, Market Sniper? You're woohooing.
Yep.
He's woohooing over something. And no problem, Rustam. I hope that that trade works out for you. It's got a lot of risk to it, but these bounce plays sometimes they can make your week.
Yibbo, speaking of a bounce play, Yibbo bouncing. Market Sniper mentioning that this is curling. Indeed, Yibbo here moving.
I'm not sure about Yibbo yet. I don't like the way it just got rejected by the 65 EMA. That EMA has been suppressing it for the past, 10, 12 minutes now. I need to see a recapture and close above the 65 EMA. That would be a better indicator for me.
That's on Yibbo?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's 523. That's happening right here.
SLXN just pushed into a new high of 156, so now a penny higher than what it did out of the open. Just be careful here because we're starting to get these upper shadows again. Back finally with a green candle after 20 minutes of red ones. Looks like Black Sky is just taking a breather before it tries and push up higher. So now, because it looks like 1640 was that high that it was hitting in the pre-market and out of the open, that's going to now be a support area for Black Sky. So if you're looking to do a trade, maybe somewhere around there might be a good entry for once it comes back down and does a reversal. It's up to you if you want to try that. That's what it looks like to me. Is somewhere around 1640 might be a good entry area.
Okay, and just really quickly here, I know you were talking about Black Sky, but Yibbo is trying. That was a really good call on that 65 EMA. It is trying to get above that. You might have a trade here, 13, if it gets above that. I know you said you wanted to see a close above that. Mm-hmm. Fair point. We'll see if we get it. This candle closes 3 minutes, so we got some time on that one here. YIBO. Trib, this also may be bouncing off that 65 EMA. I've got that at 108. JL is halted. Looks like the chat's on this. What's this J long? Oh gosh. What happened to this thing yesterday?
Is this a no news China pump?
Let's see here. Yeah, it's no news. The only news in there is the Halt Fest.
Distributor in Hong Kong of reflective and non-reflective garment trims. So,
Nice.
What is that? Is that like those those vests that traffic controllers and construction workers wear, so that folks see them, have a bit of they can more visually see them because they have the reflective. That's what it sounds like these are. I don't know. Well, 1 million shares in the float.
Yeah.
Good luck, folks.
Yeah, and on average, it trades 73,000 shares. Today, it's traded 160,000, so it's already above that. I guess I'm unsurprised to see such a thin stock halted here. I don't know if this is great, though.
All right. Let's see. Arnaz lost VWAP. Trying to recapture it. Not successful so far. Might need more time before I think this is going to, come back in, but it's starting to look like it's going to come back in.
Okay. Is he mentioning Amazon again? Are we missing? I feel like we did not get that. That is just continuing to push here. You have a price target or anything there on Amazon? And Lion mentioning Bitcoin here. Bitcoin actually at the highs here, 103,500 on the futures chart there. Let's see if Bitcoin can get rolling here.
I don't like.
You guys have any? Sorry, go ahead.
I don't like the spread, but DXF is trying to push up higher. I'm just not sure I want to jump in this with the spread. Now it's starting to move. This might get going here, but the spread is like $1. It's almost $1, so be careful. It looks like TC is down here testing the lows of the regular session again. This might end up being a loser here and not able to get back up over VWAP.
Okay. I was just going to ask a second ago if anyone saw anything that was kind of setting up here for a potential trade. That DXF did move nicely there through the VWAP there. I got to imagine this thing pretty spread.
Mm-hmm. Very spread.
Yeah, so that might be a little bit tougher of a trade there.
BACK back. That has a nice set of candles right there. That could be a reversal. Let's see if we get some volume to push us back up over some of these larger EMAs.
That's BACK. Let me put that on screen here real quick. See if that bounces. Sorry for sniffling there, folks.
Well, that happens when it's cold.
SLXN that you guys were in. This is still building above the VWAP. BHF.
Very low volume today.
Yeah, and I don't see a whole lot here. My one scalp was basically $4 profit. That's flat. That's basically nothing. And I don't see anything else great set up here. And I'm not trying to be a hero on any of this. Visa news here. X CEO Linda Yaccarino posts on X another milestone for the Everything app. Visa, our first partner for the X Money account, which will debut later this year. Gotta say that trying to turn X into an Everything app, I'm here for that. And I do think that it's capable of doing that. So we'll see. Good stuff there, producer. Thanks for breaking that news. Boeing here plus 5.5%. This actually looking like this is trying to go to new highs. This is a good mention here, Izzy. This indeed
a huge move.
A huge move.
DXF, that's moving up more now. New intraday highs. Just be careful with this spread. You have one buyer come in, it's going to pull this thing right down like $1 because that's where the next bid is. This thing's spread over $1 now. Jeez. Careful, folks. Yeah, back certainly does look like it's trying to come back, but I want to see a recapture of that 200 EMA first. So that'll be putting it above 125.
Okay.
Black sky with a little bit more weakness here, but still hanging out above the pre-market and regular session highs before this impulse move. So I want to see it hold above 1640. RNAS flush down halt. Let me see what you're talking about. Oh yeah, after that first one, once it hit 1180, that's just been the story. And the MACD is indicating that it's going to cross the downside. There's an indication of further downside ahead. I'd say that you may get your earliest level of support around the 65 EMA, which puts it at about 735.
Okay, that RNAS candle looks nasty, folks. I'll be honest with you. Looks nasty right there.
Didn't do a whole lot of trades today because just not a lot of. I mean, you folks are finding plenty of things to move up, but I want to see some of these low float movers make a.
Yeah, me too. I want to see something that I feel good about here. I don't really feel good about anything. Let me know if you guys SLXN, maybe if it comes back into the VWAP. I don't know. You tell me. Yibo is trying again. Let's take a look here at Yibo. You know what? This is trying. Here's your 5 minute. It's tell you what, 13, you're 65 EMA on the 5 right here. Shut up, mighty soldiers, if you're out there. But the call here on Yibo today, it is struggling to get above that right here. We'll see if it breaks that. Looks like there's a refresh seller there almost. I guess the selling volume isn't too high yet. So
I don't like the formation of this the price action here on the 5 minute. That looks like a bear flag that may end up resolving pretty soon.
Okay, well, I'm glad you're here because to me, it sure looks like this is doing a really good job holding 5 now and might actually try to move through this area if it can take it out. But to your point, we'll see if it's just flagging.
I see a big area of sellers at 530, and with the volume that we have, we need to see it increase if we're going to take that 530 out. Otherwise, I don't think it's going to go much higher.
Izzy mentioned it here, Amazon. Ryan, I gave Amazon on a silver platter today on the dip, LOL. There wasn't much of a dip. That was kind of the I know it did push here and reverse down to the lows and held that low. That was good. But like yesterday, like maybe not yesterday is a bad day, but like these previous days, we get this dip and we get this move back. This was what I was waiting for here today. That's why I didn't take it. I'm going to keep watching Amazon, though. I don't think this is over. I think we'll get more of this.
Yeah, new all-time highs today.
Clearly in an uptrend. SLXN's slowing down here, excuse me. RCL, this post earnings higher here, 259 Royal Caribbean.
Amazon on a daily chart, not too far away from being overbought. So,
I can go to that here real quick. I don't have a trade on right now.
It probably won't be today, but pretty soon. This is gonna, if it keeps going up, there's gonna be some selling. There has to be because it'll be overowned.
By the way, shout out here. Stay focused. If you're still out there, you had mentioned this earlier. Ticker J Blue might be worth a swing trade try down at the 200-day. We're 6 cents away from that. Remember, J Blue has an activist investor in it. That was part of the thesis here. So check it out. J Blue might 5 cents away now. Might be setting up at the 200-day there.
Is RTX going to pamp for earnings? I don't know. It might, but you look at the daily RSI. This thing is very overbought. I could see earnings, being good and still have some selling because you've got a little bit more liquidity with the eyes on it, and so that would give sellers an opportunity to exit. And I also don't know what the future of the military is going to look like with the current administration and their desire to tamp down overspending. So they may not guide very well, is what I'm getting at. So as far as I own RTX, I've owned it for a while. I'm still going to hold it. I think there's going to be better days ahead, but it looks like it's getting to a bit of a topping out point.
Fairchild saying, send Benzinga Pro suggestions to you, Ryan. Yes, please. Yes, definitely. Just shoot me an email there, and I'd be happy to take a look at that. We'll discuss that in some of our meetings here. Nick mentioning HIMS as a rocket today. HIMS, that ticker, 2-point move off that 30 handle. This is a pretty decent ripper here today. Looks like some of the other boats are up here with Royal Caribbean, CCLs, NCLH, both of those at the highs here. A-Lab kind of recovered from its opening dip here. Sorry, get in there.
Black Sky. This was what we were kind of waiting for here. I think it's about to make its next move. Just need a little bit more volume, but it's got the right setup. Just need to get the volume to match it. You see what? Yeah, you go. You see what I'm talking about. Let's see if we can take out that 1740 and blast off to that 18 and 19 resistance areas that I outlined earlier.
Okay, now, are you worried at all if this can't get above this area up here? Does that concern you?
The only thing that concerns you right now is the volume. It needs to be better. And
Okay.
if we're gonna get through some of these levels, that are higher up, particularly 1740, where if you look up on your price ladder, that's where the largest concentration of sellers are right now.
Hey.
All
Send me
right.
tickers for option plays and earnings. Looking forward to the show today. Anne Marie, I was just mentioning you, was just talking about you. Glad to hear it. Get your tickers ready. Lion, you had one, didn't you? You had one. Oh, Lion, by the way, sorry I missed this. Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, and FTAI. That's right. I almost forgot about that FTAI. You bought those longer term contracts there. I guess this is still kind of trading around here. It is up today, though. Okay. PanW ripping, Captain Cloudy. Did I sell that too early? Did I sell PanW too early? Sold it at about 190. Close that out here. It does look like this is going higher here on PanW. I still like this all year. There's going to be more trades in PanW. Don't you worry about that. Anne Marie makes the viewers happy. Amanda lets her know with her own approval here. Yay. Let's do it.
All right. RNAS still headed lower. You're going to get that MACD crossing soon. Yibo still hasn't been able to recapture that 65 EMA. I think if once this candle ends, you might see some more downside as you'll have some of these EMAs crossing that 65 to the downside. That's not a good sign. Still waiting for Black Sky to make a move.
CrowdStrike up near the highs here. CRWD.
DXF now at 29 and looking to, it just started pulling, but looking for 30. Looks like RNAS is trying to get some support. I don't know if it's going to turn around or not. SLXN. This SLXN might try to make another push into the 50s again. Just watch for that expanding volume. If it doesn't get it here, then it's probably going to end up, going down into the 120s.
Oh, we got a nasty pull happening on Black Sky right now.
It's still above 1640.
Yep. This is their area right here, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to need to see the buyer step in here, or else it's going to be bad times. Trib looks like it may end up going lower. The volume in a lot of these just doesn't look great. Meanwhile, the SPY is moving up again, right? Yeah, back over 600. Let's see, what's lifting it?
This is still holding in here.
Let's see. We got several previous all-time highs in the way. The nearest one is the 686-cent previous all-time high. After that, 601 and 33 cents, and then we have this trend line that indicated topping out back in early to mid-December.
BKSY, I actually took some here, 13, right at that 1650. It's trying here.
Mm-hmm.
See if this holds on here.
Yeah, just need to see better volume than this.
Nope, there it goes. And we just broke beneath that. Let's see if we can recapture this. Otherwise, I'm just going to close this and book the loss. Nope, back in we go. I want to hold out to the VWAP. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just hold out. I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be changing my plan mid-trade, but the VWAP, that's a plan on most of them. We'll see what happens there at VWAP. Maybe we'll even talk about adding.
Nothing looking great.
No, there really isn't. And folks, let me know if you folks see anything. Daniel here mentioning SLXN setup needs volume.
All these need volume. There are a lot of good setups here with these names that we've been looking at, but the volume just is not there. And DXF, now that's halted to the downside.
That spreadiness is likely what's doing that.
RNAS looks like it's trying to recover. This may get back up to VWAP.
Carmen mentioning Palantir. We talked about that a little bit. I think Jim Cramer called this to 100 earlier, which the chat didn't like. Looks like this a nice little dip and rip here, Carm. That's not bad on Palantir. Yeah,
look at JG. I think that trade might be done.
That was one of our things from yesterday. Yeah. And speaking of done, oh my God, things bad to worse on BKSY. Waiting for the VWAP, not a good move at all. Going to have to take a loss on this, I'm afraid.
Yeah, unfortunately, that
yuck, is that ugly? That is
and then watch it starts going higher after.
I know that's always the biggest thing too. You get one of those flushes and then all of a sudden it comes back.
Arnaz ripping.
Let me bring Arnaz up here. I'll manage my bad trade off the screen here. Here is Arnaz. Let's see if this builds above the VWAP. You might actually have a move here.
Mm-hmm.
Benny, good morning, guys. What are your thoughts on Hollow? Oh, man. I mean, we gave our thoughts several times here on Hollow. Be careful. Know what you own. Now, just looking at Hollow here, now that we've had some of the trading action here today, really struggling to get above the VWAP there on Hollow.
Yep. Just know what you're trading.
Yeah. Know what we've seen before on this name.
It's getting into a point of time where you see these nonsensical moves. It happens around February and August. So we could be seeing one of those pretty soon.
Ryan, never make a loss into a long-term hold, right? Yeah, no, definitely not. And like I said, I'm just disappointed it didn't work. We've had kind of slim pickings here on trades. Sucks that the one I took ends up being a loss. But yeah, we're not going to allow that to get any worse. We've been there, done that. We don't need to do that again. That is for sure. I was quick. Well, I was looking off the screen here. I did notice, look at Amazon. Izzy, tell you what, man, the Amazon calls that you give here are just regularly good. Just regularly good. Here's more goodness from Amazon. This continuing to push highs 240.
No problem, Anthony.
No, that's good. Look, I'm not even gonna be mad. If the chatters, I traded it the wrong direction. If the chatters are gonna do it, if the chatters are going to make money, that is awesome. I took the L on that one. In fact, Anthony.
Oh, yeah, so did I.
We gave it to you. We gave it to you.
Yeah, you'll hear the caution in my voice because there's nothing that's looking great right now.
And it hasn't changed. David here, do you set tight stop losses? This is a really good question. We've talked a lot about stop losses. Depends what the trade is. On some of these day trades, it also depends on what the size is. On some of these day trades, yes. I'm generally speaking a little bit more loose with my stop losses. If I'm swinging something, I'll generally give something more action to the downside before I stop out of it. With some of these, though, that are really just kind of moving around quickly, yeah, we'll put some pretty tight stops on them. And if it works, great. We'll play that. We'll let it run. If we catch a winner, if it doesn't work, we'll generally try and end the pain there. How do you deal with stop losses? Well, you can put them on. I generally just like to kind of watch the trade and then just exit. It's more of a mental stop than a physical stop. That seems to be my preference, but you can place stops too. Just know that some of those orders will be found.
SLXN now rolling over. DXF is halted to the downside, but it's still above VWAP. Trib just going sideways. Black Sky making some lower prices now.
It's going even lower now. Black Sky, BKSY. Let's put home, man. So okay, so here you go. Your first stop is your best stop. This is the next leg down here on Black Sky.
Now, if we are going to get some more downside, which is entirely possible here, I think that you could get this thing to go down to maybe 1475. That's where the 65 EMA is.
Crimp Biscuit asking, Ryan, do you keep your stops volume same as your position? You mean, do I stop out of my entire position? If I stop, yes. Selling partial is one thing. That's generally speaking for for winners. If I'm cutting something that isn't working, I would say probably 90. I don't have stats on this, but I would guess 99% of the time I'm cutting the entire position. Yeah.
PLTR next upside is 97-ish. Let's see here.
79-ish, you mean?
I'm sorry, not yeah, sorry. What happened on Friday? Yeah, I see that. It's maybe 79, maybe 80. I see both of those there.
Kevin mentioning RCAT. That's a show favorite here that we haven't
RNAS.
mentioned recently.
RNAS is going.
RCAT at the highs. Here's RNAS. This is trading higher here on RNAS.
Yeah, this one's a wild one. This one ran up to 1180 and then reversed. Be careful with how quickly this can turn around. Remember, the float is less than 1 million shares in RNAS. Black skies. Seems like buyers are trying to step in, but I wouldn't be jumping into this again.
So let me ask you, are you going to try and scratch your money back from that trade or nah?
If I try and scratch my money back, I wouldn't try and do it with the same stock.
Yeah.
That's
literally what I was asking you.
Our NAS just kind of gave me a good portion of it back. As a matter of
There you
fact,
go.
It gave me all of it back and then some. So thank you,
There you go. Boom, boom, boom. Way to go. Don't get mixed up. I know sometimes the reason I ask you that, 13, is because sometimes like I'll see a stock really kind of pull and then maybe it looks like it's putting in some type of tradable support area. I'm like, I'm going to get my money back. But I think your advice there, go to a different name, right? Don't do it on the same name there. Don't compound your problem.
Are you really going to show the stock who's boss if you get your money back? Like the stock going to go, okay, well, I'll trade better now because you beat me. You won, trader. You go ahead and just get all the gains now. That's not how it works. Once you just move on. You look for something else that's working. Right now, Black Sky is not working.
No, it isn't.
Yeah. Try not to revenge trade. This is where you got to keep your emotions in check. Yeah, it does look like Trib is trying to come back. Let's see if you got some curling happening here with the EMAs, the MACD moving up towards the VWAP. So it looks like it is trying to come back. The question is, will it have enough volume to, hit these upper marks? Remember, this is the one that had a hard time getting above VWAP out of the open, and it got rejected after it had this upper shadow series. So this next move to VWAP better be the one that gets more volume to push it over it, because if not, it's probably going to go back down.
Steve here. This is actually a good question. Sorry about that. How come you guys never push the short? Steve, shorting is not, generally speaking, part of my trading philosophy. I don't like shorting. I don't like exposing myself to unlimited risk.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, if I'm going to play something to the downside, I usually do it through the options market. These trades that you're seeing here, especially on some of these junkier names, I'm basically just hunting for longs.
Yeah, shorts are a little bit of a different animal. You have to borrow.
See, this is the thing, Steve, you went on to say, I like to short the market. I find I win more. For me, it's the opposite. I find that I get shaken more and end up booking more losses than I do on the long side.
What types of stocks are you shorting? Because if you're shorting like small caps, you're likely doing pretty well, because that's what the big institutions are doing. They're just shorting the hell out of these things. These really small companies that absolutely have to have capital and they can't get it because rates are still too high, or they just don't have enough equity in their company to entice lenders. You can make a lot of money just shorting these small names. The downside is that if these small names go on a wild run, I mean, they can just absolutely destroy shorts with some of the moves that they make. So, I mean, if you make money doing shorts, I wouldn't try to encourage you to change your ways. Keep making that money, man.
Yeah, different strokes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Anthony, if it works, if it's easy for you to do that, do what is working for you guys. Don't sit around and hope for things to get better. If something's working for you, stick with that.
Yeah, and again, don't necessarily be fooled or shaken by anyone else, right? Like if it works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you, well, don't keep doing something that doesn't work for you, right?
Yeah, I don't really trade the large names. Those are like my longer term investments. That's worked well for me, just doing that. If I was going to trade Amazon and some of these other big names that were going, that I could, but I just don't want to because I have exposure to them elsewhere. So I'll just stick with the day trading, the big old or the cheap volumetric names like these low floats, penny stocks we have here. Trib's still trying to push up into to VWAP. This, if it gets back up there and moves over it, we could see some legs on this thing. You're new on the simulator? Okay, so you're paper trading. Well, that's good practice. All right, so SLNX, this thing's still going lower.
Sorry, here's your BKSY bounce.
Yeah, it's looking like it's starting to, but until we get a recapture of VWAP, I wouldn't want to jump back into this yet.
Izzy saying, I trade names that I want to own if I get in trouble, directed at me. That's actually not bad either. There's something to be said for trading around your core. And if it's a name that you have a long-term view on that you follow, chances are you've researched that to begin with. So if you're already planning on investing, there you go. I generally speaking, try not to let day trades turn into long-term trades, though. We actually discussed that earlier today, too.
Mm-hmm. I think we might get some more, we might get some new highs in RNAS here if we continue with this volume. Hopefully we don't get the sellers to step in and take it down, but it's getting some pretty good movement here. A little spready, though. Just be careful.
That's what I like about this group. I feel like I'm hanging with friends. We definitely try and give that feel here, right? As I've said a million times, trading stocks is stressful. If there's anything that we can do to kind of lighten that mood, I feel like we're doing the right thing.
I don't want anybody here to lose money. So I will speak my mind about, whether or not something is a good idea or not. If I'm not sure, I'll do this, and maybe make some kind of comment about what it could do. By the way, RNAS, we're really close to making new intraday highs. This thing is potentially going to halt here, but that's a very bullish candle on this 5-minute chart that we're in right now.
I feel like it needs to get above this 12 really to go.
RNA has been the best one I've traded this today.
Here you go. Tony, just out here. I trade the names that Ryan stops out on. He just fades me all day. Tony, don't forget about me when you're on top, though. Whatever makes you money, folks. Whatever makes you money. Do it.
Here we are with Black Sky trying to recapture VWAP. I don't feel confident about this this setup here, but maybe the buyers step in and help push it over. I don't like the way the volume looks. I don't like the way the chart formation looks. I feel like there may be a VWAP rejection coming here. Hopefully buyers step in and make me look incorrect.
And remember, you really want it to kind of build and go above. A little pop above is one thing, but you want to see some more action than that. That's for sure. Wisdom asking, do I need a hug? No, man. I'm actually good. I've had a really good day. And like I said, I'm laughing with Tony. I don't know if he's trying to troll me. Well, and he's trying to troll me, but if he's making money, I'm happy. I am happy.
Yeah, Lion Atlas, I invest in the big cap.
Yeah, me too.
I don't necessarily trade it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. BKSY, it's starting. We want to see more volume here, right? That's what you said before. We're above the VWAP so far and we're holding, but we really want to see some more volume there. Mm-hmm. McLovin going bonkers. Is that app?
The candle hasn't closed yet either, so this could still close beneath VWAP. Well, let's see if Oh man, DFX not having a great time at all.
Here's that. No,
Or
DXF.
DXF.
Okay, I was going to say. It's like I just wanted to make sure here. That
You'd
pulled
think I'd
me
have
into VWAP.
dyslexia, you know?
Dude, I'll tell you what, when all you do is look at letters all day, the amount of mistakes that you make, like there's just no way to completely eradicate it. I've tried. I have tried. Ken saying I basically trade the same ticker every day. So
Yep,
this is really good. We had Red Dog on earlier. He trades the same names a lot of the time. I know people that do nothing but trade the SPY, and they're successful with it, and it works for them. And again, this really comes down to what works for you. Figure out what works for you and exploit that, you know?
Oh, Black Sky looking a lot better now. We're about a minute left in this candle here. Yeah, there are folks that we have in happy hour that are just trading like one stock only, and that's all they do. And it worked out really well for them. And that goes back to what we were saying earlier. If you are comfortable with trading a certain thing, like just only shorts, for example, then stick with that. Do what you are comfortable with, and that makes you money. I don't see any good reason to change your ways if you are being successful with the way that you're doing now.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's broke, try and fix it. James here asking, what do you guys think about Ripple? This is a good question. I actually don't own any Ripple. And I know a lot of my friends that have kind of got involved in Bitcoin, they own Ripple. I'll be honest with you. The only coins that I really followed from the beginning were Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. I've since converted my Litecoin to Ethereum so that I can stake it and earn yield on it. I've also recently started dipping my toe in SUI, but I don't have any Ripple. Curious to know what the bull case is on Ripple. I feel like I've seen a bunch of you in the chat here talk about Ripple. It's not just James here today. So I'd like to know what the bull case is. Sorry, 13?
Look at Black Sky. So didn't get that earlier.
Am I going to be pissed?
No, you're not. No, you're not. So I didn't have a good trade when I was trying to get that 1640, but at least I knew that recapture of VWAP was going to have to be the crucial mark here, and it didn't do it. So now this looks like it could continue lower.
Kind of a nasty move there. You're right. You're right. I'm glad I'm not in that. You're absolutely right about that. Amanda saying, I used to make most of my money day trading Tesla. I'm pretty sure Lynn and Randy are doing the same thing at the moment. Making a lot trading Tesla. Apple continuing to push the highs here. 238 on Apple. That was a really good move here out of the gate. How did Meta end up holding up, Lion? So this round trip just came back in. This gave up that initial push. Damn.
Let me make sure I understand something here. Apple's going higher because they weren't involved with all this AI, investment and whatnot. Because it's a little strange that we're starting to push up on Apple because it's something they didn't do, but they're also losing a lot of sales market to China and some of their local brands. So that hasn't changed. So I'm just kind of wondering, are we really rewarding Apple because of something they didn't do? Because they need to start turning around their iPhone sales business in overseas. Otherwise, I own Apple, by the way, so I'm not just trying to be an Apple bear, but I feel like there's a little bit of disconnect here. We're rewarding it for something it didn't do, and earlier we punished it for something it didn't do.
Okay. So I do have a couple of thoughts on this. And if you guys have a trade setup that we need to examine, let me know. But otherwise, we'll start here with the Apple chart. Number one, this has been a pretty good curl off the 200-day. So on a little bit larger time frame here on the daily, this did come in, did not quite print it, but it did trade up off of that 200-day. And there were a couple of key areas here that we took out in this push. So technically, I understand that. Now, as far as the fundamental aspect that you were just talking about there, obviously that's timed up with the setup that we're at here on the chart, or the spot we're at here on the chart. The big concern here, right? The reason some of those stocks pulled back is not because the AI was inferior. It's because the DeepSeek release made it seem like these other companies have spent too much money. Mm-hmm. Well, Apple really hasn't done that. So you can make the assumption then that Apple's spending the money on things like rewarding shareholders and then their core business. And as a result, it's kind of business as usual there. Well, you layer that on top of the fact that you had a nice little move off the 200-day. I think Izzy said it was oversold. It was near oversold. I don't really think it broke down beneath 30, but it was right there at that border. So I'm with you on that. So I almost think that there's kind of a technical move here. And then the catalyst that you're mentioning was about overspending, and Apple just didn't overspend. I don't know if it was actually about the tools themselves rather than the financial aspect of that.
Yes, Cyril. It's affecting energy in the sense that the whole bet on the need for a lot of nuclear energy or high output energy was so that we could power these data centers. So now that's getting upended because DeepSeek apparently was able to be developed for on lower energy or much less energy, much less chips, and for much less money. So it's the market kind of took that as well. There's a lot of overinvestment in AI right now. If we're talking about these billions and billions of dollars for these data centers to be built up. So back knife says Market Sniper. Don't really see a knife. Maybe a needle, but hasn't really broken down quite yet. Black sky still going a little bit lower. RNAS still suspended, still halted after that big move up to the intraday highs. So I'm wondering how much longer we have in that one. This is not their first halt either, so we probably have like a much longer halt time frame. Could be 15 minutes. But this has a really nice setup to go higher. What?
Nothing. I just kind of going with the chat here. Jay saying, Ryan, agree on Apple. Yeah, see, I think it's not necessarily about the AI, but about the spend, and Apple just didn't do it. Izzy here mentioning Nvidia reverse again. Look at where this reversed. Didn't you say that I think you said 117 will be good for your chart?
Yeah.
If we rewind the tape, well, guess what? We bounced off that 117 level, folks. Bang. Should have taken this, actually. That would have helped me claw back the black sky stop out loss that I took.
Looks like black sky's about to go lower here too.
Lower than where it would. Okay, hang on a sec. Now I can't type the ticker. It's B sky.
Not necessarily the intraday lows, but
man. Dude, look, sometimes your first stop is your best stop, right? We stopped out on this. We watched it bounce. I was like, and we're like,
it would have been so much worse.
And look, oh my God, dude. This is why we were just talking about maybe revenge trading. This is why we could have compounded our problem here trying to revenge trade this. Mm-hmm. Glad I didn't. Well, I did take a loss on the trade here. I'll take a win on the strategy, not making my day worse.
Wow.
RNAS going.
It's yeah. Setup was there. This needed to halt. And now watch this thing. This is going to fill that gap, and then I don't know what else is going to happen.
Man,
it's okay. I caught a couple of moves, not this one, but I caught a couple of moves in RNAS.
Let me know if you guys caught that RNAS move.
I'm pretty sure Mo and Anthony may have done it because I think they were talking about. There were some folks talking about RNAS. I saw Jonathan Hunt talking about it.
Here we go. At least someone made money off that Nvidia. Let's go, Nick.
All right.
Let's go, Nick.
And Ryan, look at Black Sky now. Oh wow, that might actually be where the buyers start stepping in. But I'm not going to take a stab.
Okay. Oh yeah, look at that. It went right to. Oh, but that's on the 65 EMA on the 5, 1481 BKSY.
Yep.
Well, do I try at 13?
That's your revenge trade.
Fair enough.
Okay, let's focus on RNAS because I think we're going to have to start bringing up the dumb levels.
Tony, okay, you go ahead and find your dumb levels. I got another one here for Tony. I got to get the right ticker up here real quick. Tony, is anyone buying EA? Yes. As a matter of fact, I did. And look, you'll not be surprised. I'm down on that trade. I actually did take a little bit yesterday. I nibbled on a very small starter for calls. So the fact that we're down here is really not even painful, frankly. Here's what we're looking at on EA, right? We had this huge move down here on earnings. This is at a support level. We talked about this maybe being oversold, maybe a potential bounce back here on this. We got the RSI telling us there's potentially oversold. It came back into a support level. I think we talked about this with Mark Petrino. So this is definitely a level where this thing can bounce from. Yesterday, if we zoom into the candle here from yesterday we traded lower and held this same area and traded back up. That was my trigger to start nibbling on this. Now today, let's see what happens here. I know we're lower here by about a 1.7%, but still we're not breaking down on this chart. So as long as we don't break down here and we hold this again, that might set up for another bounce potential here. So yes, I took a little bit on this. You know what? Nudge, nudge. Anne-Marie, maybe we can take a look at EA.
I'm not sure about RNAS going a whole lot higher than 15. That seems to be a pretty well-defined resistance area. And if it does, then I could look at some other levels. But I think 15 might be what we're going to get out of RNAS today as a high. Let me see if there's other levels. I'll just let you know here. But so far, that's what I'm seeing.
Line here, EA will go to 200 moving average before any rebound. I have the 200-day moving average at 143.57. We are 30 points beneath that. Whoa. That was an accident. My platform refreshed here. Let me go ahead and reshare that real quick. Share screen, Benzinga Pro. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Sorry about that, folks. I have this beneath the 200-day. I'm actually hoping we bounce back up towards the 500.
If we do go higher than 15 in RNAS, I see multiple areas in the 18 handle where it might find a top. So I don't really have anything definitive in that handle, but if we are going to go higher than 15, I think somewhere in the 18 handle is where we might finally find that high.
EIX, that's a little bit lower here today, but we'll wait that one out. We got a little bit of time on that.
Trib looks like it might be headed lower here. Just has not had the greatest price action today. Every time that it's been bouncing off the 65 EMA, it has not been able to get back up to the VWAP. I feel like maybe in about 15 minutes we could see this lose to 65, unless there's somebody steps in and starts pushing it back above the 9 and 15 EMAs.
Okay. Did anyone notice anything with the options today? Any like crazy option flow? I know we talked about Meta here. Meta just pretty much round tripped. Maybe it does trade up this afternoon. I didn't notice anything like crazy on this.
Market Sniper, if you have somebody that's selling their stock at that price, first of all, I would need to know what stock it is. That might be something that has been just reverse split and reverse split and reverse split, and the same seller is out there with the good till canceled order, hoping that there's some kind of squeeze happening. Wishful thinking at that price, I would imagine. But I don't think that it's necessarily a bot. It could be an algo, but if they're trying to have a sell order up that high, it's usually kind of like either what I just said, or the hope that there's the spread is so ridiculous that somebody ends up putting out a large enough order that it pulls it up to those ridiculously high prices. I don't think it's a bot, but I think it could be a number of things. It's what I think what I just said it was. Could be a number of those things, but a bot, I'm not sure.
Real quick, I just see J Blue, huge order here, 10,000 puts, 6 puts. Now I don't know if these are sold or bought. I gotta think that here. Let's see if we can figure that out.
There you go, Crow. It's the apes. The apes. It's the deep value, right? Those are the deep value sellers selling at 200,000 a share.
Anyway, 6 puts here, J Blue. We were talking about that one. This is right down. They actually just cracked it. Ryan, the only strong calls I see are Microsoft calls and Amazon. Here, let's. I think Izzy mentioned Amazon calls the other day. I actually, one of the traders that I follow here, bought Amazon calls the other day. Here we go. This was 23 hours ago. Taking a short term with some Amazon calls, very short term. Sold the rest plus 113%. Very nice 1-day trade. So his buys are normally pretty big. Here's your Microsoft buys. Biggest call is the 515 call that expires in August.
And this was on their guidance. JetBlue's, that's why it's down. It's on their guidance.
Yeah, earnings and guide.
They should have let that acquisition go through. Could have saved both companies. Now it looks like we lost one and could lose this one.
AMZN, the other one here.
Oh, great mention there, Tony. Speaking of reverse splits, Ref B and Wheeler announcing reverse splits.
Wow.
Wheeler.
Really quickly here, I'll go to Wheeler here in a sec. Huge Amazon order here. This is a leap contract. The expiry here is January 16th of 2026. They bought 796 of the 170 calls. That was 6.43 million. I almost wonder if those were sold. Anyway.
All right. So
some interesting stuff going on in Amazon.
So as far as reverse splits that happening recently or frequently, Wheeler is one of them. Yesterday we got IVP. We've traded that one before. That was a 1 for 25. GITS, GITS, I believe we traded that one as well. That one was a 1 for 20. CDT, 1 for 100. BNGO, we've traded that one. That was a 1 for 60. And then here's the Rev B, 1 for 16. That's today. Also today is Wheeler, VINC. And
that sounds familiar too. A lot of these names are familiar.
Yep. And this is the process they go through. They issue shares to raise capital. Their float structure gets large. They do a reverse split and repeat the process all over again. INKT also today. Tomorrow you have QGen. That must be an ADS because it's a 1 for 1.03. And then on the 30th you have a reverse split from BLRX.
BL?
BL.
BLRX. Mm-hmm. What was that one? That's 11-cent stock there?
Hey, that's a recompliance play.
Okay, there we go.
I mean, it has to be. It's under $1. It's went on the NASDAQ, and it's going to reverse split. That's a recompliance.
Izzy, Ryan, I gave you Amazon since 200. Have you followed any of the trades? No. The trade pattern, you've been shouting it, but not necessarily given me any type of thesis on there. When we have discussed this recently, one of the things that I noticed after calling out those successful trades was the dip out of the open and the rip. Now I was prepared for that today, but we didn't get that today. So I'm going to keep watching Amazon here. I like this. I've actually been trying to day trade more of these bigger names here. Amazon is one that I like. And I do see that the pattern has really kind of worked here for you. Didn't get that today, though.
Sideshow, take care. Great job on your discipline. I mean, he didn't do any trades today because he doesn't see what he was looking for. And keep an eye on what he does, folks, because if he's not going to trade because he doesn't like what he's seeing, that's the kind of discipline everybody should aspire to have. That's
the kind of discipline I failed with today. I really wanted to trade some. We talked about not seeing a whole lot of setups. I ended up trying Black Sky. It didn't work. I took a loss. So Sideshow, well done. I did trade FTAI, Lion, but I did not trade it with you traded the correct options. Remember, it was Chris and I that took some of those shorter term throwaways that just expired. It didn't work. One of the reasons that didn't matter is because I was actually long Pan W at that spot. That is continuing to work here.
Oh, thanks, Anthony. Yeah, I got the the Black Sky one wrong, but RNAS, that was a pretty good one. Thank you.
And I hit Yibo today.
Yibo looks ugly now.
Yeah, it does.
And I'm not trading Amazon because I'm just a long-term holder. I still have my shares from 2023 got it at 119. So I'm up over 100% on that.
Not bad, 13.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. And Nick, you were asking about Lyft earlier. This might be one we can ask Anne Marie about too. Lyft, I think your question was, will it lift? I'm hoping so. Remember, we saw a recent huge unusual option chain. It was a vertical call spread in April. It was the 20 to 23 calls. When I followed it, I actually didn't take the spread itself. I basically just took the April 20 calls. They were a quarter at the time. Ask. You could have got all you want for a quarter. They're 31 bid right now. Okay.
Hey.
So lift, yes. Let's hope it keeps lifting. I'm in this till April, or have a runway till April. What's up?
Oh, I was just saying, super. He woke up and fell asleep in no trades. Hey, instead of sitting on your hands, that's laying on your pillow. That's good discipline.
I'd rather sleep laying on my pillow than sitting on my hands. I'll tell you that much there.
Britt asking us if we've talked about LTBR.
Lightbridge, right? LTBR. I think I saw that on the scanner here. But no, and you know what, Britt? Good mention here. And maybe we should talk about this a little bit. Lightbridge shares trading higher after the company signed a memorandum of understanding with Oklo for advanced fuel recycling. So this now kind of latching on to that nuke theme. Oklo been one of the bigger outperformers there. This is actually having a decent day, Lightbridge. We're up here 16.5%. No, Britt, I didn't cover this. Sorry about that.
Yeah, this is going with some of these rebounding stocks. Float is 13, almost 14 million, 11% short interest. So not
BRB
bad.
1 sec while you run those down.
No problem. Looking at the financials, got over 26 million in cash. Loses about 2 to 3 million a quarter. So they got a cash runway here. Don't know when they anticipate profitability. But this is tradable news, but not investable. I wouldn't hold on to this. And this isn't, like a definitive agreement. This is just an MOU. So, that could change in the future. Advanced fuel recycling, nuclear fuel recycling. I'm trying to think about how much I want to get into that industry. And let me think here. Nope, not really interested in that. So there could be it looks like it's got a great trade here based off the news, but I don't know what's going to happen after this. This might just come right back in. I'd be careful here with Lightbridge. Those aren't pillows. Excellent. I'm glad you had a great day trading. And Kroos mentioning that about 1:30ish you'll have the move in Lightbridge. So let's see here. I'm going to take a look at the chart and see what it says. If there's going to be a move coming, you have a trend that it could potentially break. I'm just looking at the daily chart here. I don't know that we're going to see that break over that trend today, but we did silver cross on Friday. Yeah, I just don't know. We're still far away from the nuclear theme. So we're probably going to get some short-term upside in these nuclear and whatever other companies are associating with nuclear names are going to, they're going to get some short-term movement as well. But I don't know that this is going to be like a long-term sustained thing. Maybe not at least yet.
Real quickly here, let's see, which one is it? One up here, ESTC, AI Rod. Guys, I've been screaming ESTC all morning. So, okay, good call here. This is continuing to move. One thing that I will say here, folks, 13 and I absolutely do our best. Izzy, this is directed at you as well. 13 and I do our best. We're not going to be able to take every trade setup that you guys throw out in the chat. I will try and comment on as many of them as possible because I want to expand the pool of setups for the group. But there's no way. There's no way. You guys are extremely active, finding multiple trade setups all of the time, sometimes many in the same minute. There's just no way. I'm not poo-pooing your idea or ignoring you by not taking your setup. Remember, there's hundreds of people here every day that can also take your setup. So whether or not the show hosts are trading what you're trading, don't let that affect it. Continue to do what you do here.
Yeah, this is great. I'm not quite sure how you arrived at this one, because this is not a high volume mover. We haven't even reached the average volume that this trades on. And the other thing is, like, where would we be able to get into this? Because this has done nothing really but just go straight up. So there's very few pullbacks. And it's also a pretty expensive stock. So, and the float's heavy. So I guess the reason we haven't really looked at this one is because it didn't really hit our scanners because it doesn't have the high volume price action. And then when we look at it, we see that it's got a larger float that we'd like to see. The price is pretty high, and this is not a quick in and out trade. This is something that you just you buy and hold on to for a good portion of the day, because it's not really moving on a lot of volume. So great mention on this one. Great pointing it out. But the reason why we just haven't seen it or paid much attention to it is for the reasons I just gave.
Yeah, really good stuff there. Cyril saying my Lyft calls are up 20%. Yeah, mine too. Doing pretty good here. Actually, Lyft new highs as we're talking about it right there. Lyft new highs. And then Lion here, correct. We can't trade all of them. Bingo. If we could, that'd be awesome. And maybe, we'll feel more confident about that. I don't, though. The big thing I wanted to get out there is it's not a shot against you guys. Again, we continue to maintain. I am encouraging everyone here. If you have trading ideas, let the group know. People come here to look for new ideas. Whether or not they take them or not is its own thing.
Yeah, and Elastic NV. This is this looks like a good company. A little concerned about their income, but they've got a pretty good balance sheet. So this is something that would be more of an investment than a trade. But I'm not going to jump into it either way. But yeah, Jay Rice, you're right. It's software, and that software is doing great right now. Seems like the market's shifted from AI hardware to AI software. So.
Yeah, MDB, one of the bigger ones there too, right? All right, 13. It's time for Anne Marie. Really good stuff here. And
so you don't need me anymore, huh?
No. I did. If I had said that I didn't need you, I would have said that verbatim. I wouldn't have said it's time for Anne Marie. But what I was about to say is that appreciate how flexible you are. If you can't fill a spot, you're always there to help me fill in. So, how about some closing words here for the group,
folks? Some of you were doing some really good trades on things that we didn't see. Others were having really good discipline sitting on your hands because they didn't see anything they liked. I'm very proud of everybody here today. You guys are killing it every day, and I hope to see this continue tomorrow. So let's shake off today. If we didn't get a whole lot of great things, we'll be back tomorrow. There'll be more trades available, and we'll make some money. I'll see you then, folks. Take care. Have fun with Anne Marie.
All right. Sounds good. Awesome stuff there, 13. 13's departure, of course, leaves room for Anne Marie. Let's go ahead and bring her on. Anne Marie, how are you doing here today?
I'm doing great. Doing great. I like that 13 was your psychologist today.
Yeah. I mean, look, you know better than anybody, trading is largely about psychology. Sometimes you need someone to keep you in check there. And 13 will always play the role of keeping me in check. That's what I love about him.
Yeah. He's such a great guy. I love his energy. He's super.
Lion's trying to troll me here. Ryan ran you away, 13. It's business. We got a schedule to get to. Okay, all jokes aside here, Anne Marie. Happy Tuesday. What do we got on the docket? Let me bring up your screen here.
Well, I was looking at Lyft, and
all right.
I wanted to show you what that implied vol was looking like into their earnings event. It's really high, and they've priced in about $260 at the straddle, almost 260 at the straddle, but they're only calling for a 44 cent move. So to me, that says it might be a good place to sell some options. It is sitting like, let's take a look at the weekly chart. I'll show you that first.
Okay.
You can see that it's look at, man, you want to talk about a box. When/if this ever does break out, it's going to give folks a really impressive move. That being said, it
What
is
was it?
sitting,
What's the top level of that box, Anne Marie?
the top level of this box is $20.70.
You don't say. Okay.
Okay, I missed that. What
That's
was
okay. So sorry about that. Real quickly here, the calls that I took here for April were in fact the 20 calls.
Okay.
This came after an unusual options trade that had a vertical call spread 2023. And because the 20 calls were only a quarter ask, I was like, these are cheap. I don't even really need to finance the rest of this by buying the 23s, or excuse me, selling the 23s for the upside edge of that. So I just took the 20 calls. So to have you come on here now and say, wow, look at the size of the space, draw the box on it, and have the top end of that box pretty much be $20 perfectly, makes me feel pretty good.
I'm glad to hear it. I love making people feel good, especially a teammate like you.
There we go.
So, buying these, if you're far out and you're thinking, hey, listen, maybe these guys do get out of their frameworks, it might be a good space. Into earnings, I would suspect, and earnings are on the 10th, I would suspect that what we actually have is a potential iron condor, but those levels up there just are not bringing us much of anything, particularly because we don't have a ton of volume right there. You can see that the traders' open interest is 3,700 at the 15 strike. So they're trying to get folks up and over that edge. If the market makers win, this is very likely where we'll stop. And so if you're thinking to yourself, all right, I'm going to move on the edge of the market makers, then you can do the 15, 1350 slash 13. Holy smokes. That gives us 60% of that spread. So this is only a 50-cent wide iron condor, right? It's $15 to $15.50. The credit we get on it is 38 cents. And so that's 60% of the range. Normally we look for 20% of the range in the iron condor. And so if you're somebody that goes, you know what, I'll take 10 lot of these. My downside would be 12 cents, so 120 bucks. But if it works, I'm going to make 380 bucks if I buy a 10 lot. And so it's only going to take $500 of risk, and the reward is way better. And so I actually am going to take this trade. I really like it because the fall is so huge.
So let me ask you. So you were just saying about the volume there. I'm looking at the contracts here, and I see like in some of those that 1550. There's 6 Is this one where you might not be able to get it filled, or you might have to kind of wait this out?
Okay. So I'm going to set it out in the queue and see what gives. But if I can get that as a credit, holy smokes, the delta on this, based on, this crazy model that I'm using, I can't pronounce those Scandinavian names. The delta is 2 that were wrong. So if we can get it, that's going to be something to go after. So I like it. I like it. Even as a 1-to-1. If you can fill it at 30, it might even work. But what we are doing is positioning where the big numbers are sitting on the put side and on the call side. And so, so that's what I'm looking at for February 14th. Now they report on February 10. So we'll have plenty of time for all of that implied volatility to leak out. If you want to wait until the end of expiry, that's up to you. But if you want to take it at about a 50% gain, that's also very, very sweet.
Real
like it.
quickly, and I'm just thinking, I'm asking out of
Yes,
ignorance
I
here.
love
Is
it.
there a monthly contract there that might have more volume? It looks like that's what, another week. So it's a week extra time.
So they're positioning in the same space. So let's see what the cost of that is.
And actually, the volumes here of these contracts look similar. So I'm not even sure there's going to be a benefit here.
Exactly.
So kudos.
In terms of getting it filled, you mean?
Yeah, it just doesn't seem, and they're about the same. Look at that. Yeah, look at that. Okay.
Yeah. So I love that. Great.
Okay. Good stuff. Anne-Marie, if you have other stocks planned, that's fine. We did get some here from the group. I will say that the big thing that has happened since you and I have been here is this whole DeepSeek thing. So I would imagine that all of these names are on deck here. Lion Atlas saying Meta, Tesla, Microsoft. So I know those are all probably three pretty popular names. If you want to take any of those in any order you want, I would say let's start there.
Okay, so let's go to Tesla first. And I believe we have is this an earnings event? I think we might have an earnings event here. So,
Tesla is this week. It is tomorrow after hours.
Okay, so here's these are a little bit more expensive for the butterflies, but it's $20 wide. And I'm fairly likely that it's going to sit in those spaces. So the question is, all right, what is the actual benefit of having something that's $20 wide that I pay a little bit more for in the long run into earnings? So here's the thing. What we're planning on is an outsized move, right? So I think we're starting to see a few spaces that are outsized. And so let's just have a look at the Tesla chart on the week. We have a high and then a low and then a lower high. So we could easily be coming back to earth. If the move is dramatic, we are going to be in the money-making space, even if it goes all the way to 310, we're still going to make money, right? So there's that. And then on the upside, we're looking at the same thing. So what we have to measure is what's most likely versus what could happen. And it forces the deltas up in terms of our favor the more we pay and position a spread like this. So we've put this trade on as traders in the Benzinga Pro chat. And so we're going to wait this one out. I still think it's really solid. And what we're waiting for is an outsized move. Now they've got $30, $31 marked here, but look at how much they're charging. Look at the implied vol. Let's get down into these edges. On the put side and on the call side, they're fairly similar. So if we look all the way at the bid-ask straddle, they are pricing in $53. That's 60% more than this. And so if they get their $53, that'll push us right into our sweet spot. If they don't, it'll catch us at the top of the sweet spot, right? If it's just shy of that. But because we have room before expiration, the options are not going to fall off cliff in terms of volatility. And if things don't happen and it goes completely sideways, we'll be able to probably get out with about a 50% stop event. And so if we're positioning $260 into the trade, saying, all right, 130 is going to be my stop because these are positioned way out, it gives us a little bit more room. They're more expensive, but they also have much higher probabilities, and they're matching what the traders, what the market makers are positioning into the move. So I'm okay with that. If you wanted, now the call side's much cheaper. I don't think it's going up. I think that it's going to, if it goes up, it's going to be a blow off top. It's going to be a buy to cover situation. So it could work, but we really need to make it happen very, very quickly. So that's what we're looking at there. Let's take a look at Meta.
Perfect.
We also have an earnings event going on with Meta. And
also tomorrow.
This interesting business with DeepSeek. A couple of my sons are way into the AI space. A couple of them work in the AI space. And they're digging through all the data, and they're like, this DeepSeek thing it's fake news. It's overblown, it's hype. And what the market is sitting in right now is a digestion mode. Now, their servers got hacked almost right after the big came. And now we just have to see what the washout is going to do, because they don't feel, one, DeepSeek doesn't have access to the chip processors that we have because it's a Chinese-based event. There's a slurry of things. So they're saying, hey, let the market get over its indigestion. We needed a liquidity break. Markets gave us that. And it could be that Meta is sitting at a space of a blow off top as well once this DeepSeek stuff starts leaking out and more people can dig deeper and have some more information, because all the information we have is coming directly from DeepSeek. It's not third-party verification, et cetera, et cetera.
So I'm just going to stop you right there. First of all, I appreciate you giving us the opinion, especially from those that are involved. When this news broke, we actually had several chatters here try that and kind of put it through its paces. Robert here in the chat says, I agree 100%. DeepSeek is indeed fake news. Just to kind of go back to what you said, we also saw a couple of analysts mention the same thing. Tom Lee said this was overblown. Stacy Raskin from Bernstein said that this was overblown. So your sons are in really good company there, and I appreciate the insight.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad to offer it. And of course, it's just conjecture. We really have no idea what's going to be.
But that's what makes the market.
Or nay. Exactly. And so what I expect is a pretty good sized move. Now, we put this position on a while ago, and they are now, the put side now incredibly cheap. The call side staying about the same, because so much is pushing in up into that 700 marker, right? And so look what's happening right at the 700 space. So if I'm looking at this with hindsight, we can anticipate a move significantly to the north and then a collapse in price. So if I were to do this all over again, I would, let's use our handy dandy boxes. I would use 640 as my support zone on the put side, and I would use 700 to 715 on the resistance side. So let's reframe that and see what we can get. So from the call side, if I think 715 is going to be the top, let's see where the traders are essentially positioning. They're at the 700. They're pricing in $30, $50, $65 into the move, which is about, what is that, 25% more than what the market makers are saying. And so let's use what the market makers are saying, $46 from here. That's going to put it right at that 715 level. So let's see how much 700 to 720 to 740, $1.68. Now, you could say, why don't we do a 1x3x2, right? And if we do that, and we do a 1x3, and we make that 40 a 30, and we buy another 30, it's not that much cheaper. However, it gives us a ton of upside room if there is a blow off top. That's 720, 700, 720, 730. It's the math of what they're pricing in to the midpoint. It's the math holding what the market makers are predicting. Let's see if we moved it out a little further, if it would be cheaper. If we move it to March, it's $1. So it is about,
Okay.
quite a bit cheaper there if you use it for $1. On the put side, right? Let's go $48 from here or $46 from here. That's like $630. Where the traders, a lot of them at $620. So let's go see what 610 gives us. 1x3. Ooh, a lot of them at 600. $1.20, right? So still no cheapies here. We're just trying to think about what the traders will do in the long run. And if we think it's got legs in either direction, using the March contracts might give us a little bit more room. Now, you can definitely use these February contracts. Certainly, if Meta does nothing and sits in this area, this 680 is going to work really nicely. If we boost the 680 to 690 and then 700, see how expensive that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, huge spike. So I think 670 to 680 to 690 is great. Listen, for 48 cents, you're going to be making money until it's $6.89 on the call side, right? And because of how cheap this pair is. So that I like. One is a little bit longer term, giving them room to run. The shorter one is quick strike. I get out of here.
Okay. Okay. Really good stuff there. All right. So we talked about Meta. We talked about
Lyft. We talked about Tesla.
Lyft and Tesla. That was the other one. So what's the one I'm missing here? I think Microsoft
Nvidia?
was the one I'm
Microsoft.
missing. Adobe was also
Yes.
suggested, and OKLO. That also might be something interesting. So got plenty here.
Okay. So I don't know if you guys noticed this, but Microsoft took over market cap.
From Nvidia, it looks like.
Recovered the market cap that it had lost when Nvidia took over. And Nvidia's fade off of that 17-18% from yesterday has now shifted them into, what is that, third place, with Apple still having the biggest market cap of the group. So I found that to be supremely interesting in the long haul. Now, do you see this? This is a consolidation event. The traders are moving from the base. Let me delete this. They're moving from the base to the peak. And so to me, this looks like an iron condor event. And since it's sitting right in the middle of the box, essentially, the 475 and 380 might be those levels to look at. If you're thinking about a quick strike move, let's talk about that first, because a lot of us we don't love the iron condors because, it doesn't give us enough of a dopamine or adrenaline hit. And so, right. But the implied vol is a little lower. And so we could be seeing something pretty interesting in the works. Let me take a peek again. When this is tomorrow, right?
Yes.
So tomorrow we're looking for something.
Yep.
So
Tesla, Meta, and Microsoft on the same day.
okay. Let's measure this last wave. All right, here they are trying to stay up over the 50% riser. If they do, we've got 455 to 470. If they lose the 50% riser, we've got 410 to 390. So what is that? 450 to 470. All right. So 450 probably should have a lot. Yep. There they are. There's 450.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do 450. Let's do 450 to 460 to 470. $1.28. If we said, hey, I want to do a wide one, and you do 450 to 470, but you do a 1 by 3 by 2, sniffles here. It's pretty expensive, right? To do the $20 spread. Although
I was going to say that last spread there is only $10, so you'd want to do the 490 to keep it at 20.
exactly, but because it's a 1 by 3 by 2, you don't want any margin. If you accepted the margin event, it's going to be half that, right?
Okay.
If it runs off the rails, you're going to be exposed.
First of all, sorry for jumping ahead. You're right there. We actually had a discussion on margin earlier, so I think that that's actually kind of fitting that came up there. Shout out to you, by the way, by being able to produce some of these trades that do not utilize margin based on our previous discussion there.
Thank you so much. So on the put side, we're looking at 410 to 390, right? So if we go, let's see where the traders are sitting. Yep. We have some traders that, let's use 415.
Okay.
415 to 405, 10 wide, to 395, 54 cents. So now, why is there such a big difference in change? Because we're only $9 from 450, and we are 20 some bucks, right? Almost $30 from 415. So if you're thinking about that and you're like, well, why don't I try to get these priced a little bit better? Then certainly you can go 455 to 465 to 475. Comes in a little bit cheaper, right?
$1.11, yeah.
Yeah, comes in a little bit cheaper. But again, the total exposure is $160 and the max is $840, especially if we get an outsized move that sends a shockwave.
And we've seen plenty of shockwaves.
Yeah, exactly. So. And I think volatility is going to be master and commander for the next several months.
Okay. That was a good movie too. Voodoo's asking, what is the date of the Iron Condors on lift? I actually can't remember there. And I
All
have
right,
my own,
let's
so
go back. I believe it's the 14th, but let me go back and check.
Okay.
Yes, the 14th.
Mm-hmm. There you go, Voodoo.
Yeah, and there's still nobody buying today at 1550, but that could change, right? I mean, there is exposure there. You could go 15 to 16 and 13 to 12. You could also do that. And what that ends up doing is it reduces the percentage by a little bit, but not by much. And what I mean by the percentage is, so this, if we multiply it by 2, because this is only 50 cents wide, this is $1 wide. If we multiply it by 2, we get, 76 cents. Whereas this is only giving us 64. But still, well more than half, right? Well more, that's 60% of the range.
Yeah.
And so if you do it on the 21st, that might give you a little bit more. If you do it on the 14th, it's the same price. So I would say, whoa, it's good. You get a little bit more. So I would say use the 14th. Get your money out of the market as quickly as you can.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know how much time we have. We do have to go
2
to Paul
minutes.
Meeks here pretty soon. But Adobe was another one that the chat wanted to see here. Lion in particular.
Do it. Your chat today, is very, very entertaining. You guys really
day. Every day it is awesome. It's a great way to start the day, at least in my opinion.
It is. And you manage your trolls very well.
You got to. It's the internet.
Yeah,
it's part of it.
So notice what just happened with Adobe. If we go to my little box event, you'll see that I had this area at 398 at the midline of this prior box. And in the last 3 weeks, that's what it's doing. Now, this chart is saying bounces are going to get sold. So this might be a good space because this doesn't trade until, earnings don't get released until the 13th. To me, I would say this is potentially a good post-earnings trade, or wait a little bit more because first of all, this is major support that could easily be resistance, right? We've got momentum trending down on the weekly, but on the daily, I would imagine it's trending up. But everything's right at resistance. So there's going to be a rock fight there. I can't even imagine being in a rock fight, Ryan. Could you?
Yeah. No, I can't.
No,
That sounds like it's painful.
Horrible. So, but there is going to be a rock fight at this 450 area. And so it would be, see how many days it's sat here? Right? So the buyers were like, yes, 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 yes. And then, fill in whatever expletive you like all the way down. And they're all going to go, listen, if it gets back to 450, I'm getting out of here.
Yep.
I'm getting out of here. And so there is going to be a little bit of a rock fight here. My suspicion is it will try to move here. If sellers come in and they're forced out, they're going to buy to cover, and it's going to move them up the chain into this area right here. And this is called a VWAP Boulevard event. And so there's a lot of volume sitting in between these two patches. So this is value area low, as it were. It could move all the way up there. If you're a betting man on this and you're thinking, this could be some sort of inverted head and shoulders, you got it. But I would say pump the brakes here. Let them sort it out, and then we'll go after the fact. I know I went a minute and a half over.
That's totally fine. Also, with Adobe, their earnings are not going to be until March. So we actually have some time to maybe let this kind of fill out, and then we'll go ahead and take it. Anne-Marie, great stuff. Again, as always. Thank you very much. Hope all is well. And we're going to be back here on Friday, right? We're good.
Yes.
We should be good on Friday.
Sir. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
Fantastic. Anne-Marie, have a great rest of your day. Thanks very much. Take care, and we'll see you on Friday.
You also. Bye-bye.
All right. That is Anne-Marie, folks. She is awesome. We'll continue to give out some good trades here. I'm going to send you over to Tech Tune Up with Paul Meeks coming right now. Thanks for joining us on Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook.